All right, well, the music shut off for some reason, but welcome to NFL HQ. It would not be NFL HQ without a glitch or two, where we try and raise your NFL IQ. As always, we have our Jacksonville Jaguars fan. We assume he's still a fan after the week that they just had, but he's wearing the Jaguars colors, so we will say that he is a Jaguars fan from Omaha, Nebraska. That is, of course, Dave down there in the bottom left, if the screen is correct for everybody. We have a Vikings fan riding high from Paradise, Las Vegas. It's paradise right now if you're a Vikings fan. Coming off another big win for the Minnesota Vikings. The Pastronaut, as he is now nicknamed, Josh Dobbs, continues to win games for the Vikings. Something he had not done anywhere in his career, but he's won 2 in a row for the Vikings, although I don't think that first one counts as an official win for him because the NFL is weird with starting quarterbacks. But anyways, there is Brandon down there. And back from his 1 week hiatus, he took a bye week with the Miami Dolphins. He is still a Dolphins fan. We will get the official word whether he was in Germany with the Dolphins, whether he was teaching Tua Tagovailoa how to take a snap, or our third hypothetical, which I don't think he's heard yet. He was packing Josh McDaniels' bags, shipping him out of Las Vegas. But AC is back with us. And of course, as always, I am the Dallas Cowboys talking Avatar fan from Canada, the always optimistic Cowboys fan, Dan Rod, 88. So welcome in, everybody. We will talk about our teams, our home field advantage segment, how our teams did this week. AC will talk about something, considering his Dolphins did have a bye week. We will not bring up the fact that they lost in Germany 2 weeks ago, 21-14 to Kansas City, but we just did bring it up. So sorry about that. And then, of course, we will have our Pick 6 segment where we will go over 6 interesting stats from the weekend, which maybe you can bring up around the water cooler, talk to your friends about to increase your NFL knowledge. We might talk about a few coaches that are on the hot seat very quickly, some injuries that may have happened this week, fact or fiction, our final word, and of course, our Better Sweet segment where we will make our picks for week 11 coming up. Our week 10 picks were not good, and we were missing AC sadly on that one because, of course, he is on quite the pick streak. But before we get to all that, as always, home field advantage is our first and most popular segment. Probably not our most popular, but is our first segment where we talk about our home team. So misery loves company. We might as well start with the team that did not win this weekend. They went down at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers 34-3. So, Dave, your team lost by 31 points, but keep in mind my Dallas Cowboys lost by 32 points to the same San Francisco 49ers. We lost 42-10, although Brandon's Vikings did beat these 49ers 22-17 a few weeks ago. But your Jacksonville Jaguars, this team that, we've constantly said needs to show up in these big games, sort of these measuring stick games, and once again, they go down quite handily, 34-3. So, Dave, talk about your Jacksonville Jaguars. What went right? What went wrong? And what do you take away from this game?
I want to cry.
That's fine. Therapy Tuesday is a real thing.
It is. Man, I was so... Well, I already said a lot of these things that, that we need to fix some mistakes. We're not going to be able to beat these big teams. And then what did I do? I jinxed my own team, which I said, if they lose, I couldn't have jinxed them that bad, though. I couldn't have jinxed them that bad. That was rough.
That was horrific.
That was really tough.
We're gonna find swinging from a tree.
This is what it reminds me. Yeah, this is what it reminds me of. It reminds me of me dating back in my 20s and 30s. That's exactly. You see, and that's what being a Jaguar fan is. I'm telling you, every season it's kind of like dating a new chick. Okay, every season it's starting out pretty good. Hold on, let's see how it goes. Some of them they're shit right away, and you just know this is going to be awful. Never mind. But this year, even last week I was talking, these guys believe in themselves. So, all right, this chick, she's fine. She's good looking. She's super nice. She's got it. She's funny. She says all the right things. And even last week, I told my friends about her. My friends, I told about her. You guys, I said, she even believes in herself, and I'm starting to believe in her. And then what does she do? She goes and has sex with my brother. And you know what? I'm not sure.
Oh, man.
Trevor?
That's how I feel. I feel like the whole team had sex with my brother.
Dear God.
Man.
So let me just say, you take a very different outlook than some NFL fans. Let me
flying up here, flying high, like these guys are going to go all the way. They're awesome. I haven't had a season like this. Shoot. Just disappointing. Now, I'm not going to say it's over. It's not over. We're still 6-3. But we can't if we can't even win those games. Not just not win them, but if we get blown out like that against quality opponents, then it's. And let's be real. Houston's coming up. Houston is one game behind us now, and Houston's looking good. C.J. Stroud's looking good. We might not even win our division at this point.
I'm a believer.
They owned you when they were bad. Like, for some reason the Texans always beat the Jags, even they were like 2 and they'd have like 2
and now
wins
they're good.
and one or one. Yeah, I know. So it's an odd.
No, it's scary. I literally I got to be honest, guys. I probably won't be here the whole episode. No, I can't because I have stuff that I'm in the middle of doing. But I didn't watch a lot of football after that. I wasn't in the best of moods. I did keep it on, but it was rough. What'd you guys think? When you got Bosa, I mean, literally, it was just what I said last week was it's going to be fine. Yeah, they're going to rush them from each side, but we've got that quick out route. We can just throw that quick out route like we've done to everybody. And apparently they watched all that film because they took that away. And I'm telling you what, Hargraves and Bosa just smashed. I mean, it wasn't even, it was like they blitzed every time, but it was only those 2 guys. Well, 3 guys, 4 guys, but it was terrible. We're off our game the entire time. You don't have
to play them again. Like they're not in your conference, right? So it's not like it's not like they're like waiting for you, weeks. So it's like you don't mind the non-conference losses because like I never have to see you again, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Look, they're a team. They were desperate. 3 losses down. They were going to come with their hair on fire. This was going to be such an important win for them that I just don't think that it was going to be a tough uphill sled. But that line looked shaky at best, and they were just kind of Lawrence. And I would just wanted him further along in his career, like a 3rd year kind of a thing, kind of going into it.
Yeah,
high expectations for a kid that was supposed to be the next great generational, and he just looks like an average, okay quarterback. That isn't like. I don't know. I haven't seen enough out of that offense to really feel good. I think the defense kind of has been winning games more than I thought the offense would.
Right. With the mistakes they've been making.
Hey, look after the Urban Meyer fiasco, Doug Peterson gets in the playoffs this year. They're the division winner. You got to feel good about where the direction is. I just think, you probably thought you were further ahead than you are. You're probably a first round draft. First round playoff team.
No, I get it.
Not a serious contender yet.
Don't sleep with my brother.
I have to ask, Dave. I know you can only play the next game on your schedule, and then you kind of look ahead. But we as fans, we love to do schedule watching. We like to look, down the list, what games we have coming up. We've talked about this schedule for your Jaguars. We've mentioned the fact that not only did you lose to Kansas City early in the season, a game that maybe you guys could have taken advantage of Kansas City not playing at their best, but you've already lost to Houston once this season. Is there still belief? And I know you're a Jaguars fan. You should believe. But you've talked about the division, Houston creeping up. Is there a possibility your Jaguars don't even make the playoffs at this point?
No. Don't ask me that because then it's my fault if it happens. Houston could easily win that division.
Not how it works.
They really could. They're good. And I said it. I actually thought the Colts were a little bit better. I think their starting quarterback going down, even though they're not all that far off. The Gardner Minshew, he can win some games. But there's a possibility we don't win our division. I would hope that being 6-3, and we're going to get at least half the amount of wins of the rest of the games. That should put us at the 10-win mark somewhere right around there. And so I knock on wood, we still make the playoffs. I'm not 100% we win the division anymore though. If Houston beats us again. Right? Yeah, we've got.
No, they got Houston once, but they got Houston, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore, 4 straight games, which is, again, you don't know what you're going to get from that AFC North, but right now
but
that
AFC
North
Tennessee
playing good football.
Cincinnati,
right there.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily, but
Tennessee games, Carolina, Tampa Bay, those may be 4 wins, but then if you look at 4 losses,
your 4 right there, that's your 11.
Right.
Yeah.
I also have
bad
news, guys. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, allow me to, as we look at the schedule here for the Jaguars, which is good luck, buddy.
It's tough.
I have a little something for you. Let me just.
They'll be playoff tested, right, Dave? That's what you want. You want them playing playoff tested football down the stretch.
Curious to see what you got.
Sometimes a blowout win like refocuses you, right? Like the Lions got blown out against the Ravens and stuff, and then they kind of got their stuff together. Sometimes it's like you get that jaw drop kind of a thing to kind of refocus you and get you ready to be.
And then me,
they were believing their.
I
I'm the TMZ fan, so I had to bring this up for you just in case you missed it.
No, I didn't miss it at all. Zay Jones.
No, I did. What
For,
happened?
Arrested for misdemeanor domestic battery.
Oh.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can't just slap your wife anymore or whatever.
Well,
no longer.
He's not guilty yet. Allegedly.
Well,
it's true. We always forget. We always forget that the girl can go. Are you a football player?
Oh, I'm being.
He did that.
Okay, first off, and this happened Monday too, I believe, right?
I would have lost by 31. I would have gone and punched a chick myself.
Right after that Sunday loss. Anyway, no, I don't know anything about that. I don't want to get canceled anywhere. So,
but here's the thing is that Roger's going to put him on the exempt list, though, right? Like that, like you lose him regardless of what the legal thing. They just now, if there's any allegation, they pull you, right?
Yeah.
He's off.
Let's just make sure we understand. So I want you to walk away from NFL HQ with a new understanding about your own team. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, Zay Jones was arrested on a misdemeanor domestic battery charge on Monday, according to jail records. Jones was arrested by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and booked into Duval County, on a domestic battery charge, harm, a first-degree misdemeanor. His first court appearance is scheduled for 9 a.m. on Tuesday. He's going to miss practice.
But Zay Jones has been injured. He hasn't even played since the Buffalo game. So he's only played in 3 games this season. So from a football standpoint, you haven't had Zay Jones on the field for some time now, Dave.
He is our 4th receiver. So
you're not going to have him for a while.
Yeah, they have enough weapons between Kirk and Ridley and Evan Ingram, and I think they still got Marvin back there. So they got it. There's no excuse for that. Just red zone issues, and Lawrence has a hard time keeping the ball on, man. Fumbles and the bad decisions on that.
Agreed.
Hey, man,
this will be a tough
rest. Good news is he's still in first place.
Knock on wood.
You can't take that. You can't take that away from you.
For now.
Any positives to take from the game at all, Dave?
Here's the positive that I can take from that game. It's my fault because my dishwasher, like I mentioned last week, was being installed. I didn't get to stand in my lucky spot, and I know that's the reason. And the dishwasher's there now, so now I'll have the lucky spot back. But not only that, I also bet on them to be my underdog pick, and I suck at this. So any team I pick is going to lose. So here's the positive I get from it. I'm going to pick Houston to win every game the rest of the year.
Who's going to win?
The old anti-Jason.
Exactly. There wasn't a positive from that game. You know what? Here's the only positive I can think. They needed it because, like I mentioned last week, they were so high. They believed they could pull it out of their ass even after having 3 fumbles and 2 interceptions, and they still are in it to the last minute. They always believe they can win. They needed a beatdown like this to hopefully come back and refocus and get rid of those mistakes. And let's start playing some team football.
And I think another positive is you didn't lose somebody, right? Like the worst is that you get your butt beat and then you lose a player for the year. Like, some guy tears his Achilles or something, right? And then you're kind of like, oh man, like my season's over. So look at you took a beat down, but everybody comes back healthy, And so I'd rather take a loss with injuries maybe sometimes. It's like
I'll leave it to our resident doctor Brandon to always bring up the team health no matter what happens.
It is nothing like a win with losing your best player that makes you feel good about the win. So I do.
Well, we might as well transition from a team that maybe didn't lose anybody. So news coming out today that Cowboys linebacker Leighton Vander Esch, who hasn't been playing the last couple of weeks, does have a neck injury, and he's probably been ruled out for the rest of the season. Like I've said, Leighton Vander Esch hasn't been playing for the last couple of weeks. The rest of the Dallas Cowboys did take the field this week, and they beat up on Tommy DeVito, the rookie quarterback making his first career start, and the New York Football Giants by a tune of 49-17. It was 42-7, I believe it was, going into the fourth quarter when most of the Cowboys starters rested, and then the Giants scored 10 points. The Cowboys did get a Rico Dowdle touchdown in the fourth quarter as well when we had our Cooper rush hour. So I think for the 3 of us that had games this week, much different feelings from all of us. Obviously, Dave sitting there watching his team get blown out and never came back. The hope was kind of lost. It was despaired. Not to pile on, Dave, but it's one game and we move on. My team got blown out by the 49ers as well. All we've done since then is go on and win most of our games except for the Eagles game. Brandon's team, winning the game, but, a closer one, having to watch every play. And then me as a Cowboys fan, I enjoy the blowout victories, don't get me wrong, but it is kind of sometimes it's a tough watch because much like Brandon brought up injuries before, when the game gets out of hand, you're just trying to make sure everybody gets out healthy. You don't
Right.
want to see any of your starters go down. We will talk a little bit more about this in pick 6, but the Cowboys offense in the fourth quarter comes out. No Dak Prescott. 3 of your linemen are out of the game. All your backups are in, but then CeeDee Lamb's still in the game. And I'm like, why is CeeDee Lamb on the field? And then Cooper Rush is throwing him the ball, and you're like, what's going on here? But of course, they clearly someone on the Cowboys sideline knew a little bit of NFL history, and he made a little bit of an NFL history in this one. But, it was just a complete blowout by the Cowboys. I could talk about, everybody. Brandon Cooks finally getting involved in the offense. He looked good for once. Michael Gallup had a nice deep catch for a touchdown. Dak spread the ball around. CeeDee Lamb had a nice touchdown catch. He also had a nice touchdown run. Not to bring this up, Dave, but if you look at the Deebo Samuel touchdown run in the Jaguars game and you watch CeeDee Lamb's touchdown run, they almost are identical. I think Deebo went to his left, CeeDee Lamb went to his right, but they almost look like the exact same play. I think Greg Olson on the broadcast called it a tornado block because the tight end starts one way, goes back the other way, same way as the running back or receiver in this case, but they look very similar. But other than that, not much to say. The Cowboys, I said it last week, they have the Giants they just beat up on, and they have the Carolina Panthers. 2 games that the Cowboys need to win, need to look good in, and we move on. But for me as a Cowboys fan, I want to be optimistic. But Dak Prescott did throw a very horrible interception, I felt, a ball he didn't need to throw. Cooper Rush also threw a bad interception, but Cooper Rush, I don't know what he was thinking, but that's okay. Maybe he just wanted everybody to not think about Dak's interception. But on the day, Dak Prescott, 26 for 35, 404 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have the pick. He also used his legs, which I like to see. A nice rushing touchdown. I think Dak, as long as he can continue to lose his legs, keep the defense, under light boxes or things like that, that will help him. That will also help Tony Pollard or Rico Dowdle. The Cowboys' red zone offense still struggled a bit. They did go for it on 4th and goal from the first drive of the game. They got stopped. Now, the encouraging thing here was, again, Tommy DeVito and this Giants offense looked inept on the first drive. And most of the drives, this is a quarterback in his first game action, threw for -1 yard. Came in last week and threw for 175, and then this week he did not look good for the most part on that one. So the Giants have their own sorts of issues. We've all heard the narrative now. The Cowboys outscored the Giants 89-17 in 2 games. Obviously 40-0 week 1 and then 49-17 in this one. So for me as a Cowboys fan, it was encouraging. We do have to win these games against these weaker opponents. We have Carolina coming up, but again, we still have to win these more important games or against these tougher opponents, much like the Eagles game or I think we have the whoever else we have on the schedule. We have the Miami Dolphins coming up, I'm pretty sure. The Buffalo Bills, we don't know who they are anymore. So we'll see. We know we got Seattle, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Miami. We talked about Jacksonville's 4-game stretch. That's a 4-game stretch coming up for the Cowboys. And, those are going to be 4 games where they're heavily scrutinized. But no one's talking about Dak's bad interception, at least that I've seen. But it was a bad interception. But
you think
I'll leave it up to the 3 of you to bring me back down to earth a little bit. Not that I'm flying too high, but I'm happy we got the win.
Do you think McCarthy said to Cooper, he said, get out there and throw a worse interception than so?
No, I think he went out there and he said, make sure CeeDee Lamb gets 2 catches for at least, I think, 11 yards is what he needed, or 9 yards. Yep. And then he said, Cooper, just throw this ball into the middle of the field into triple coverage and see what happens. Mac Jones did it. Bailey Zappi did it. So why don't you go out there and do it too?
Yeah.
Then Josh Allen really topped everybody last night. There was the one thing I got from that. There's a couple things I got from that game. One is, Cowboys know how to bring a sledgehammer to an ant, man. Like they don't just beat the bad teams. They make them go crying, man. They're like, so.
Which is good because a lot of these teams starting to cut you, but a lot of these, good teams in the NFL sort of toy with their food.
They do.
To say.
And
yes.
they do like they squash it out real easy.
They allow those back doors.
Yeah. I found out Tommy DeVito still lives with his parents, right? So that's and his mom still makes his bed.
His dad looks like he could be in The Sopranos.
Yeah, like there was so much focus on this guy who someone said he looked like he won a raffle to be quarterback, and they kind of just put down his shoulder pads on him. And it was like there was no way he the 3rd string quarterback is usually a guy that is the nice guy that brings the water and the donuts into the quarterback room. It's scary when you have to play him. And so now you wasted this whole year. And so now everybody's just you're really kind of looking out for themselves. You'll see this kind of team start separating from the seams very easily, as you saw last night. And Yeah, the game for the Cowboys was what they call bonus game, man. Everybody trying to get their bonuses. Like if you're like, hey, 5 sacks, do this, 70 catches gets you that. They were like, oh man, just keep slinging it, right? Get your bonuses at the end of the year. He didn't tell me anything because the things that they still have to prove playing good teams. Can they run the football in there? Is the goal line stuff fixed? Micah Parsons didn't even have a tackle, I think I read, which kind of was a little scary on that nature. Like, he's kind of fallen off the last couple of games, not being the player that they asked him to be. And so that is kind of some of the telltales where it's like, okay, you got your beat down, but they're not going to be judged by anything they do in the in the regular season. They're going to be, when they get to the playoffs, how they handle. So, but it keeps them in line with Philly. So if Philly does slip up, there's maybe a chance they can slip in and get that. Hopefully they get that division.
Yeah, just a couple things like you mentioned. The running game still didn't look great. I don't know if it's just Tony Pollard, like we've mentioned. He's playing behind Zeke. It was a different type of game than being the starter. Rico Dowdle's impressed in the couple of times he's been in. He kind of looks like the Tony Pollard Zeke, if that makes any sense. So I think they've kind of found a good mix. They didn't do anything at the trade deadline. They haven't seeked out anybody in free agency. So it looks like that's who they're going with. Brandon Cooks got 9 of 10 targets for 173 yards. He had a great game. He was open a lot. Dak found him. He will be a difference maker with his speed. And Michael Gallup, who was supposed to be sort of that deep ball threat, that 50-50 ball catcher, did have a nice catch, and then he did have the touchdown. So that was encouraging. Someone that we got to see a little bit because Kevontae Turpin, the returner and the speedy little receiver who hurt his shoulder a week ago, didn't play, the XFL MVP, yes. Jalen Brooks, the rookie out of South Carolina, got a couple snaps. He looked pretty good, and a lot of people were saying he looked very impressive in warm-ups, and he's been impressive through camp. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe he can come along a little bit and provide an extra option. Not that this offense needs more weapons. I think when you play for the Dallas Cowboys, maybe your status gets a little heightened because, you're more featured on primetime games and things like that, and people scrutinize you more. But it does look like the Cowboys on offense do have the weapons. And that offensive line is good. We mentioned that Terrence Steele at right tackle. He didn't look so good a week ago against the Eagles. His name wasn't called as much on the broadcast. Not a lot of pressure from that Giants defense, but again,
they're a better pass blocking offensive line than I think a running offensive line. I think they're big guys sit on their heels. They give Dak time, but I don't know if they move. They're not really, and I don't know. Maybe it's McCarthy's system too, where if he's running that same old Green Bay garbage, years ago, he never ran the ball well. He always averaged somewhere in the 20s in the run game. So. I always say this: the running game is first part offensive line, second part scheme, then the running back. So it's always easy to blame the running back, like, oh, it's Tony Pollard. But I want to know are the goal, how the offensive line and what's the scheme? Because you can find a cat that can just hit the hole.
And you can have the wrong sized offensive lineman at all times, because if you have the one cut scheme or the West Coast, you need agile, thinner,
exactly. The midders, offensive push back, and they pump. So
if you're doing a zone,
they pass block well, but I don't know if I haven't seen anything. And this is not the same offensive line, from the old Fredericks and a lot of those guys are gone by now. I think, but there's still some good guys, but they
still have a couple of holdovers. Zach Martin's still there, and so is
Zach Martin's still there.
Getting a little late in the career, but again, the Cowboys at home they played really well. They've been blowing out teams at home, regardless of who they face at home. So it will be interesting to see if this trend continues. And again, it's now schedule watching. Can the Cowboys catch the Eagles? Can they win the division? Maybe get a couple of home playoff games. They've been playing good at AT&T Stadium, Jerry World. So can they go on the road and win these games? It's just, and again, the Cowboys right now, I don't know if we know anything more than we did from the week before. So
the only good team they beat is the Chargers. That came down to the wire. And so I'm just kind of like, you beat the teams you're supposed to be, which are great, but it would be nice to have that kind of last year they had a couple boom wins, where this year I just feel like they haven't gotten it yet. And they haven't really got to, a chance to play them, but we'd like to see it a little more.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Cowboys beat a team that didn't start with new or loss in the title, right? We beat New York, New England, New York, Los Angeles. We haven't beat anybody else. Now, we could have beat a San Francisco. We didn't beat them. But basically, if your team starts with a new or a loss, then we're going to beat you. Everybody else, it's a wild card toss-up at this point.
If you're the Denver Broncos, I'm going to beat the crap out of you.
And right.
But let's go a little off topic, though, away from our home teams. That was a crazy game last night, when the Denver Broncos, who have lost to everyone seemingly, beats the Buffalo Bills, which is incredible.
They did not beat the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills.
The Buffalo Bills don't
That
look
was
near
the
as
most.
good.
That was. I never seen a team play defense against themselves like that team did.
I was excited about beating Buffalo when we beat Buffalo until I've seen the last 3 or 4 weeks after and realized they're not that good.
Oh man,
you have to
realize they're great. Actually, they're a phenomenal team that plays terrible.
Yeah,
you know, it's the weirdest thing. It's like it's you like they can throw a cannon, like the plays are killing it, and then that one to end the half. I don't know what they were thinking on that nature. But to end it with a 12-man on field, it was just like,
it's
right. That is
competent.
You got to find a way to do some stupid shit. And then they fired the offensive coordinator. Like he put 12 men on the field. It was the most odd thing. It's like, the water boy was next. They were like, I swear to God, I'll get the towel guy out of here. Like it was.
The referees had something to do with that because at the end of the game, when Lutz missed that kick, they said, no, don't worry. Try it again. Closer.
Yeah.
So that was
5 more yards. But AC, you weren't here last week, but I'm pretty sure I did talk about the Denver Broncos after coming off that win against the Chiefs.
Yep.
And and then they were on the bye week. But I said, if they beat Buffalo, can we maybe look at this Broncos team as a sneaky backdoor team into the playoffs? No. We will see. Now, Brandon, he doesn't want to talk too highly about the Broncos because, again, his Vikings will play them this Sunday on Sunday Night Football.
No, they're in a tough AFC division where the Bengals might not make the playoffs. Denver's still below the Raiders, who might not going to play. Like in the NFC, I'd be like, hey, still got it. But I don't think they're going to rip off wins. That Cortland Sutton touchdown was ridiculous to begin with. I don't know how they got that thing in there. It just seemed like people were tripping over their own feet. They were winning. This still team has
it'll be tough, but if they can put together a string of wins, if they can win 3, 4, 5 in a row, if they can do what your Vikings did, right? Win 5 in a row like the Jaguars did, win 5 in a row. All of a sudden, this Broncos team look a little better.
5 in a row in the NFC gets you 6 points.
And then
Miami's
licking their chops because if they get that home playoff game against Denver, they're just like, okay, we're 50 points better than them. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about the Denver Broncos. Speaking of the Denver Broncos, the team that they're playing this week, the Minnesota Vikings, did play a game last week. And they beat up on Derek Carr and the Saints. Josh Dobbs got his first start as a Viking, and he got the win. So I believe it was 27-14, if I have that correctly. I don't know if I wrote it down right, but we'll trust that.
27. They were only down by 8, so they only lost by 8. So it was like 27-19 or something, right?
27-19. Yeah, I wrote 19.
Yeah,
it looks like a 4. That's on my fault.
Look at. Hey, man, Vikings been doing this for years. I grew up on Vikings doing retread quarterbacks and going on runs, right? And so whether it was Brad Johnson taking over for Warren Moon, went on a run to make playoffs, then Randall Cunningham taking over for Brad Johnson making playoffs, and then even like Jeff George taking over for Randall Cunningham. So it's weirdly enough is this kind of feels like some Viking stuff, right? But what I'm more surprised about is that defense. It's been a long time since we had something that attacked, something that was hungry. I love Brian Flores as a defensive coordinator. It's like it's night and day from Ed Donatel, who was like so passive. He just pulled his pants down. He let you go at him every fucking play. And this one is like, nope. Even when we're down 0 blitz, let's go get him. Let's gun him. Interceptions, turnovers. And it was like, man, if we had this defense last year, we could have done something, right? And so, and I like having the Dobbs guy. Again, he's inaccurate. There's a lot of issues, but how he can get out of the pocket and extend plays, we haven't had that in forever. Usually, man, if Cousins doesn't get that ball out, it's a strip sack fumble. And now it's like, oh, hey, we got 4 yards off of that. Let's keep it going, right?
Bigger
it opens up. And then the Chandler kid, I saw a little something with the running back. So it was like a lot of positives were coming out of there. We ended up kind of like letting them back in, but it was weird. We should have had interception, little plays like that kind of let him in, but for the most part, what it was like, we got something here. And what I think it does, it really shows you the what I've been so happy, the coaching staff, I think, which is phenomenal. Kevin O'Connell, I like that youth. I like the young, innovative coaching. And Brian Flores on the defensive side, we got something here. We're a couple players away from really making any moves. But once Justin Jefferson gets back and gets with Dobbs, I think we're going to be like one of that wild card team where it's like, we're just going to upset someone really good. Like, we're not going to go anywhere with it's like, oh man, we lost, Vikings beat us, kind of thing. And it's like, that's what I'm hoping for. Just ruin someone else's Super Bowl aspirations. Because I think we got a hell of a team right now, oddly enough. And so,
4 weeks ago, you went to fire sale everything. I just want to remind
1-4, sir. It was 1-4.
Yeah,
you know,
and you should have heard him last week.
and we were
AC.
playing
It was a
San
whole new Brandon.
Francisco. Yeah, like, yeah, because when you were losing to the Bucks and you were losing to other guys, you know, and you didn't really show like you were ready to play with the big boys, and you just keep getting that separation. You know, I didn't want to get like 7 wins and then, you know, be out of playoffs, but the NFC is terrible. The NFC South is, you know, really horrible. We just beat 3 other 4 teams, and so it just kind of showed you that. And it doesn't, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Hey, I don't know how you go into the season. Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, it was like, man, the Saints got some issues, man. Than I thought they did. For some reason,
it was nice to see Jameis Winston still being the quarterback we always know and love. He does some amazing things, and then he just does some Jameis Winston-like things. Yeah. The reason why he was a 30 for 30 or 40 for 40 guy. When he 2020 guy, 20,
I was never
20
scared.
20 picks.
I was like, he's gonna throw a pick. And just wait, you know. Like, it's kind of one of those things where, there's a lot of football left. A lot of shuffling is gonna happen right now. And so what we can do is look at the Lions look really good. So I don't know if we can go for the division, but I think we can. You know, maybe we can split with them. You know, it's good that we are in the NFC.
Still,
to be honest with
2 games against the Lions left. The last 2 of the last 3 weeks, Detroit on the schedule.
You know, they just look like they're clicking more while we're trying to figure it out. And so, but I like that we didn't have to give up anything to get Dobbs, because the worst is you've ever seen those where you panic and then you trade like real draft capital, like the Vikings did to get Sam Bradford 1 year. I was like, 1st round draft pick. What? Oh man!
But I think the biggest difference there was, weren't you a playoff team coming into the season, maybe thinking you were a quarterback away? Was it Teddy Bridgewater that got hurt?
Yeah, because Teddy got hurt. Teddy gets hurt in the training camp.
This was more,
leg,
I think,
you know,
just get a quarterback in there, just because you didn't have.
I didn't want to get like, I think Dolphins got Jay Cutler 1 year, kind of a thing, you know, and then just you end up kind of panicking trying to get something really good, and then all of a sudden it never clicks. This one's like, if it doesn't work, it's like a 6th round draft pick, right? And so, but it is working, and I think he found a home here. I would like him to stay in Minnesota as a backup.
Literally, what I was about to ask. Like, it sounds like you want him for next year as well.
Yeah,
like, you want to keep him.
Definitely.
Like, this is your QB1, right?
No.
No, I think you keep Kirk Cousins. If you can keep Kirk Cousins there, you keep him there.
We're getting traded.
Somebody today, I heard described him as a Kirk Cousins that can run. I mean,
no, God, no. I mean, come on now. The ball's bouncing at people's feet, man. He does not have the accuracy, man. I love him, but it's just not there, man. Like, I don't even know if he has the arm strength, so I really got to see him like throw it deep, and really extend plays. We'll see how it goes when he gets Justin Jefferson backfield. But what we lose in accuracy, we get in mobility. And I'll take that any day of the week, man, because that saves your life sometimes, man. That gets you, that turns into like 3rd and 9 and stuff. And I love it. I'm like, you know, that mobility right now is perfect for what we need. But man, like, I don't even want to give him like deal this season. Don't be that guy where the interim coach ends up doing a little well, and then you sign him for like 3 years, and then you're firing him the next year because like you don't, you know, the small sample size turns into something. You know, he's a good backup, and I like him. I'm like, hey, keep him as a backup. He's going to be cheap on the end. Everywhere he goes, he's going to be a backup. Nobody's like, hey, we're going to make this guy starter QB1. So you might as well stay here as a backup. So if Kurt does take a while or someone does get hurt, I'd love to have him right there.
They did it for Geno Smith.
Nick Mullins.
That was Geno Smith's life, and then he became a starter.
Yeah.
They can
and the thing is, much like Geno Smith this year,
Smith was a 2nd round draft pick that got opportunities with the Jets, and then until he got punched in the eye. And then even got another chance with New York in the Bob McAdoo or McAdoo days, and remember because they benched Eli for him, and then he had that horrible game right against there. So, you know, and that's rare. It's like that one exception. You know, ask Sam Darnold how much, you know, and you know, Baker Mayfield's and other guys that are struggling to get this shit done. You don't want to.
But on a new team, teams are still trying to get used to Josh Dobbs. You know, they have tape from Arizona, but different scheme coming into Minnesota. So we'll see if defenses can try to take away some of the things he does well in the future. But week 11 coming up.
PJ Walker won games.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it a little bit, but week 11, the Denver Broncos, Minnesota Vikings in prime time. Will we be looking back in a few weeks from now at this game and possibly whoever wins this one, whoever loses this one team, you know, possibly vaults them towards the playoff contention, and maybe one team sort of derails their playoff aspirations. I don't know if it's too soon to say a very must-win Week 11 game, but Vikings-Broncos in prime time will definitely be an interesting and obviously for us here at NFL HQ and a watch that we have a big interest in.
It's
coming up
skull
this week.
over. This is it. Put the kids to bed.
All right. Well, again, speaking of over, the bye
Sierra's
week is
going
now
down.
over for the Miami Dolphins, but he is joining us to talk about anything you want, AC. You can talk about your Dolphins since you weren't here last week, or you can talk about anything you watched in the NFL through week 10. But how are you doing, and how are you feeling since the last time we saw you before the Dolphins, unfortunately, lost in Germany in a close one to the Kansas City Chiefs?
It's been a roller coaster. It's hard for me to sleep.
Did you know that was my week 9 word? Roller coaster?
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Oh, you do that once you say the word. He said the word. It's been a roller coaster, and a team of, I'm going to sound like a total douchebag. You guys ready? A team of my caliber with the roster that I procure should not be going through such turmoil, you see. We should not be losing to the better
Super Bowl champs. Yeah.
Well, come on, not only Super Bowl champs that just lost to Denver, that has lost to Buffalo.
Denver beat Buffalo.
No. The Chiefs.
No, I'm talking about the Chiefs' losses this year.
Chiefs lost to the Lions.
The Lions,
week 1. So they're 7-2.
Right, and that's just one. And Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all. And they were 7-1 until now.
7-2 until they lost to Denver, and then now they played you. And now they're 7-2. They were 6-2. Yeah.
They were 6-2, and then they beat you guys, and now they're 7-2.
Right. So the game in and of itself was a trap game because we had to go to Germany to meet someone who really we would have home field advantage for, because these people wouldn't travel well into the heat, the humidity. It's still pretty muggy in Miami.
It was a Kansas City home game.
We
went to Kansas City, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So it will be okay. We would have messed up.
Yeah, lucked out. Yeah, right.
We mentioned last week Kansas City only had a few options because Kansas City really wanted to play in Germany. They only had a few options because they have such a strong schedule based on how they finished last year. A lot of good games at home, and there was a theory out there that they didn't want Tyreek Hill to go back to Kansas City and be booed by the fans, so they'd rather have faced him in Germany. Yeah. But whether that's true or not, we don't know. But anyways, we digress. 7-2 Chiefs beat up on your Dolphins.
Yeah, but they lost to Denver. We beat Denver by 50.
Yes.
These things shouldn't happen. My point is literally 50, not even hyperbole. And my point is that we shouldn't be struggling like this. And I think that what we need, and I've been saying it all year, is a real left guard. Liam Eichenberg can move to Germany. He can go to Germany and stay there. We should have left Liam Eichenberg in Germany, which he would fit there perfectly, and you would have started a new life. Forget you're an offensive lineman because you're not a good one. We got Teron Armstead back, but still, it's a roller coaster. It's a mess. We have one. We don't have a complete line at all times. The exchange between the center and Tua is suspect at best.
Terrible. That's the worst I've ever seen before.
Terrible. Not that Tua's hands are the biggest ever either. So it was something else like, draft day. I worry about different stuff like measurements. How big is their hands? These things matter in December and November. So they don't have large.
The whole thing out of that whole game, you find the left guard. You're like the left guard. He's not doing his job.
break down my team, and you tell me where the weakness is at.
I love it. House on fire. Like, hey, what's going on with the pool?
Yeah, just a minute. Well, no, it's more like it's more like a Lamborghini that somebody had diarrhea in. You know what I'm saying? It's like a really nice car, but it's all fucked up inside.
It says,
like we are, right?
It's got a bunch of like CVS receipts and 7-Eleven big gulp cups. You just don't take care of the inside.
And cigarette ashes everywhere.
Big Mac lettuce everywhere. Like just erroneous fries.
Yeah.
But I digress. We are literally driving a sports car with all of the fastest people in the NFL on my same team. This should be a recipe for absolute domination. Like, there's no way to plan for this. However, we are having growing pains with Fangio and finally getting Jalen Ramsey back, guys. Jalen Ramsey with his pick on his first game back, he's a game changer. However, we need to settle into this defense. I feel better about the defense next year, honestly. After a whole another training camp, a couple more, like this isn't the year. This is clearly not the year because we're losing the people that we're going to have to beat in the playoffs in bad weather. So if
they kept the Chiefs to 14 points, if Tyreek doesn't do that stupid fumble thingy, the defense played phenomenal. They didn't even score in the second half.
Shut them out in the second half.
Look, I blame that. That was the worst play calling I've ever seen. Everything was directed toward Tyreek Hill.
I need to see more. It's getting there. I'm not saying the defense is bad, but
man,
with the names we have there,
the second half.
We should be dominating, and we should be stifling them with our offense as well. So maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I'm just bitter. I have a different tone from when we were winning all those games. Now I've become a bitter old man.
Oh, I get you.
That's fine.
The beard looks a little grayer.
I'm turning into that.
I felt that loss was on Mike McDaniel. Like, that was a horrible play calling. It felt like they forced Tyreek Hill because they were trying, like, everything was sweeps and things, and it was just so much Tyreek, and they got away from the running game. They got away from Mustard. Then by the time they started getting it back, it was too late, kind of a thing on that nature. But the first half play calling was just, I don't even know what they were trying to do. Waddle was open. The middle of the field with the tight ends were there, and they're doing bubble screens to Tyreek to try to get him some stupid dance in the end zone. I don't know what the hell that was. And then when they finally got away from it.
Yeah, what I was thinking was kind of along the same lines. I was like, let's get Tyreek in the end zone with the showmanship, the whole thing. I think we're also a different team.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Devin Achane is very important to our offense.
Yeah,
clearly.
It does.
And by the time
we got a two-headed monster,
we got it three-headed with Jeff Wilson, even Savon Ahmed was getting out there.
Yeah.
I think it was the journey. It was something with Tua's head. When he's off, he's off. He's never going to be incredible in the first half and then shit the next half. If he's on, for some reason, he's laser focused or he sees something in the softness in the defense. But when he's off, he fumbles snaps. His head's not in it.
Yeah.
He's throwing behind people, not looking in the middle of the field, making
the middle of the field thing is huge. He misses guys. And you know what? I'll tell you this, though. That line is been taped together, and Mike's been trying to figure out how to get it where I think it's worse than people think it is. And sometimes it does get exposed. Like, where, man, by the time he hikes it, man, sometimes he's already got a guy in his face.
Yeah, they talk about all the time how
middle.
Tua's releasing the ball quicker than anybody, and it's very predicated on 1-2 steps and away it goes. But AC, you got the Las Vegas Raiders. So how do your Miami Dolphins take down the only undefeated coach in the NFL right now, and Antonio Peterson, these 2-0
they got the
Las Vegas Raiders?
For.
Well, I'm a man of focus and determination, commitment, and I will tell you this: I've looked at a pattern, and the pattern is we're going to lose this game because we lose to bad teams.
Well, they're 500, so I don't know how this fixtures into your narrative. There fits your narrative about beating teams below 500.
You guys lose to the good teams. You guys beat badly down. You guys are more like the Cowboys of the AFC.
You said, but they don't have a losing record.
No, they're 5-5. So the narrative would say that it would be a close game.
They're a team that fired their coach already. So, just got to take that into consideration.
And remember that every time a team fires a coach, you always bet on them the next game. They're 1,000% going to win that game.
Yeah, they squeezed all the New York juice they could get. They're going to get their breaks beat off of them. Yeah, that's honest truth. They don't have the corners that can guard with those guys. The only thing I would worry about is if Max Crosby messes up the game plan, that would be my biggest fear. But
yeah, of course, Max.
But they're horrible against the run. You're just going to feed mustard. They're going to learn from their mistakes in Germany. They had the extra week to prepare. I don't see this is probably beating them by 14, man.
We are healthy,
and Las Vegas has been running high, beating up on two bad New York teams, right?
Yeah,
so then what happens too is they'll probably get the breaks put off and they play someone good.
You do have Josh Jacobs still. They still have that. They have a brand new Aiden O'Connell who you don't know. He looks really good at times. You don't know what you're going to get.
No.
The defense
is shaky at best.
Dolphins are a 12-point favorite right now. So
they're going to get the breaks beat off them, man. Don't give them anything here.
I wouldn't take that.
They're going to get the Cowboy beat down. You guys do it to Carolina. You guys do it to there's like when it's the same thing is that you're gonna feel good about the next week after they beat this team down. But then when you have to play the next, when you have to play some of the good ones. Because that's what the narrative is. They beat up on the bad teams, they lose to the good ones, and so it's going to keep going until you finally beat a good team.
What I need to do is I need to feel the winning love again, so I don't feel like this guy. I kind of felt like this guy.
Oh man, what's funny is I went from there feeling good because the defense is finally healthy, and when they were healthy, they shut that team down, man. The Chiefs couldn't get much going, man. Like all second half. If you take out that fumble that Tyreek does, man, they only scored 14 points.
And you can't be mad at him. The guy has 1,200 yards week 10.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Still be mad at him, but you get over it quickly.
No, I'm not mad at him. I'm mad at the play calling of getting him. It's the same. It's always like that one player. This is guy. I used to see that every game when we we have Randy Moss, and so the game plan was just feed Randy Moss until we lose. And like it only works when the running game gets going. This things you kick him over the head. But if you're just going to do the old throw it to him 100 times against a good team, they're going to shut you down. And they were looking for him. Like OJ McDuffie was there. They were waiting for this guy everywhere he went, and they left some guys open. And
Waddle, Cedric Wilson, Barrios.
They were smoking them, yeah. And Mustard finally. Oh, hey, we forget to run the football. Like,
it was almost like this thing. Like we're out of the country. Tyreek needs to be the showman.
Yeah,
he needs to be 200 yards, and that doesn't work like that. That happens organically.
Exactly.
So I haven't seen that breakout game from Waddle. Waddle hasn't had that breakout like 200. Which he's totally capable of doing. And yeah, so that's it.
It felt like.
Well, I'm glad you didn't spend the whole bye week.
It had to be with Tyreek. Yeah,
Right. They just said like it has to be this way or no way.
If we're gonna beat them, he's gonna have to be the focal point. He couldn't win. They couldn't win and him be a decoy. Like he was gonna be pissed or something.
Right.
That's what.
Oh
shit.
Oh whoa.
Thanks for a spin there.
My camera.
All right. Like I said, AC, at least we didn't spend the whole week stewing over this, and at least you had a relaxing bye week. But we know that Dave's a little pressed for time today, so we're going to skip a little bit ahead. And Dave, we're just going to get a couple pieces of business from you before we get back to our regular scheduled program. So if you would like to wrap up your Week 10 with a single word, Dave, how would you wrap up Week 10 in one word or possibly two, like roller coaster was for me?
Scorch. It was. And from the ashes, we'll see what happens. But, man, we got burned. Yeah, and hopefully from the ashes we can rise like the Phoenix. And but the rest of the schedule, it's going to be tough.
All right, and I see what you did there, because the Phoenix comes from Arizona, like the Coyotes, who have the Cardinals, who are playing the Texans, who we know you're going to take as your lock of the week. So go ahead, give us your lock of the week, Dave. We're going to the Houston Texans over the Cardinals.
You are 100% right. My lock of the week is the Houston Texans. They are going to beat. I've got them at 4-point favorites, I believe, and they're going to beat the Cardinals in Texas. But yeah, and then underdog, the Eagles, for whatever reason, aren't favored in Kansas City. The Eagles should win that game.
That's good, man. And I like actually Arizona. I think Houston flying high after a big win against the Bengals, and then they let go, and then Kyler Murray looked like he was healthy. They might get that. Yeah, so
he's doing it to you, Dave. He's giving you the juju, man. You're gonna lose.
I'll listen for the rest. So no.
Well, I will say this, Dave.
I
also had the Eagles as my underdog. When I looked at this earlier, the Eagles were a 3-point dog. Right now, they're a 2.5-point dog. It's already gone down half a point. So something suspicious going on there.
Yep.
But
I like the Eagles for some reason.
And to me, see, I guess I'm kind of using your method. If I'm taking the Eagles, we'll get to my pick officially later on. But if I'm taking the Eagles, am I also hoping they lose? Because I need the Eagles to lose to the Chiefs to help my Cowboys in that division. But we digress. Dave, if you have to go at any point, let us know if you want to stick around. Obviously, you're more than welcome to stick around. We will conclude home field advantage by mentioning that in Week 10, home teams did go 8-6. The Vikings, Brandon's team, did beat the Saints 27-19 as a home dog. The Cardinals a week ago did beat the Falcons as a home dog. I told you they would beat the Falcons. We'll get to that a little later. And the Raiders did beat the Jets as a 1-point home dog. 3 home teams did win at home and cover the spread: Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, and Dallas. Congratulations. Dallas covered 7.5 points, so I don't even think that was a question. Seattle won at home, as did the Chicago Bears. Both of those teams did win at home but did not cover their respective spreads. 3 home teams lost as underdogs. That was New England as a de facto home team in Germany. Jacksonville lost, did not cover the spread, as did the Chargers. And then 3 home teams were the favorite at home and lost
outright. And on that note,
so Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Buffalo, you all lost at home and did not cover your spreads. Your home favorites
other than
that lost
how was
outright.
the blindness?
Exactly. And on that note, I'm going to run, boys. I will listen to the rest, and I will definitely see you guys next week. Oh, I love how the thumb thing works. And I love you guys, too. Does the heart thing work?
The hard hands always works, just like Taylor Swift to Travis Kelce, because karma is the man on the Chiefs, coming straight home to me.
See you guys.
But, we will say goodbye to Dave, and we will say hello.
They're undefeated since they've been dating, I think now. So.
No, they lost to the
they lost to the
Broncos.
Yeah.
They're undefeated if she's in the crowd. The splits are completely different when she's at the stadium versus not at the stadium. But speaking of splits, let's get to pick 6. Let's split on over to our top 6 stats. According to me, Whether you want to keep these in mind, they are completely irrelevant or relevant, depending on how you look at it. But we will start with number 5. So Sunday's matchup saw 5 games decided by game-winning field goals as time expired. The 5 matchups decided by a game-winning score as time expired in regulation was the most in a single day in NFL history. The previous record was 3. So Jason Myers of Seattle kicked a 43-yard field goal to beat Washington at the buzzer. Matt Prater of Arizona kicked a 23-yarder to beat Atlanta at the buzzer. Riley Patterson, Detroit, 41-yarder over the Chargers at the buzzer. Matt Amendola, Houston, 38-yarder over Cincinnati at the buzzer. And then Dustin Hopkins in Cleveland kicked a 40-yarder over Baltimore at the buzzer. But not to be outdone, Monday saw Broncos kicker Will Lutz hit on his official attempt from 36 yards as time expired to lead the Broncos past Buffalo 24-22. So 6 is actually the most game-winning scores or game-winning field goals, however you want to look at it, with no time remaining in regulation in a single week in NFL history. So we saw 6 different games decided by a field goal at the buzzer. We go from 6 to 59 minutes and 20 seconds. So before getting that Dustin Hopkins field goal, Cleveland trailed Baltimore for a total of 59 minutes and 20 seconds of that football game. That is almost the entire game. That is the most time a team has trailed in a win since 1999. AC, hopefully you remember this one, when the Miami Dolphins beat the New England Patriots in a game that they trailed for in over 59 minutes. Of course, that was Dan Marino's final season. He started that game, did not finish it. It was 31-30 the Dolphins beat New England. Damon Heward passed to Stanley Pritchett late in that
there
one.
There was a Deshaun Watson sighting, I heard. I heard someone that he actually showed up to play the game and actually did well. So
yeah, he also threw that pick six very early to put them behind the chains or behind the score.
You know, so
you mean
the entire one?
You mean this guy?
Yeah. Oh, hey, well, is he getting? No one's rubbing him. Okay. All right. He's no more back.
AC, do you remember your '99 Dolphins? Do you remember that Damon Heward pass to Stanley Pritchett, that game against the New England Patriots back when?
I do. I also remember, and I talked to Dave about it.
We were in college back then. Yeah, like '99. Yeah.
We actually lived together during that time in college, 20 some odd years ago. And I also remember Dan Marino's last game, which was in Jacksonville, and they handed us a loss. It was 63-7.
Yeah.
And that his hips were gone. And
no, but that was weird because you had Jimmy Johnson that wanted to like bring in a new guy. Like Reno wasn't his guy. Reno was on the last. Like he wanted to redo this whole thing, and he had to like stuck with this dying veteran there, and it got him so bad where they think they both left the same year.
And then they wouldn't give.
Never actually got the coach without Dan.
They wouldn't give him a running back. It was like Bernie Parmalee, a guy who worked for UPS. And
they gave him
Pete Carroll was actually coaching for the
Cecil
Patriots
Johnson.
Never
Even breaking into people's houses. Cecil Johnson or something. They never he was breaking into people's houses. Like he was from UCLA.
Right. Yep.
And then they gave him Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or something. Remember, it was like
Bernie Parmalee, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
He tried to give him a running game. Like he was trying to give him the Terrell Davis kind of thing to John Elway, but they just
and we get rid of Marino. Marino's gone. He's the legacy. Never won a Super Bowl. The whole thing. He's basically Charles Barkley. And boom, guess who comes? We get fucking Ricky Williams. If he just would have held on 2 more years and his hips weren't as broken, he just could have handed it off to Ricky 100
times. Even before they got Ricky, once I got Lamar Smith, I think ran for like
Philip
or something in a playoff game.
The convict, the guy who's crazy, Philip Lawrence.
Lawrence Phillips, yeah.
Who actually played in the CFL after that. We can actually talk about the CFL in a second. But anyways, 59 minutes, 20 seconds. The Cleveland Browns trailed Baltimore this weekend. Our next pick six, number 3, is 10. So when Giants rookie quarterback Tommy DeVito started this week against the Cowboys, he became the 10th rookie quarterback to start a game this season. This sets a new NFL record. The previous record was 9 back in 2019, the Kyler Murray year. So Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Aiden O'Connell, Tyson Bagent, Will Levis, Clayton Tune, Jaron Hall for your Vikings, and Tommy DeVito. All 10 rookie quarterbacks have started a game this year in the NFL, which brings us to our number 4 stat, which is 324. So let's do the math here. The Pittsburgh Steelers had 119 yards passing, 205 yards rushing for a total of 324 yards. This is significant because despite being the Packers 23-19, they were outgained 399 yards to 324. This means Pittsburgh has been outgained for a 9th straight game At 6-3, the Steelers are the only team to have a winning record despite being outgained in each of its first 9 games. Since the NFL started keeping track of rushing and receiving stats, that dates back. Let's say it 3 times because it's more effective that way. Dates back 90 years. So no team has done this in the past 90 years since they started tracking rushing and receiving stats. So if you think your team is a good 6-3 team, I don't know how you feel about the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have not outgained a single team on offense in all 9 of their games. Number 5, let's go with 11 receptions, 151 yards. This is a homer stat for me because Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb had 11 catches, 151 yards, and Dallas's 49-17 thumping of the Giants. He becomes the first wide receiver in NFL history to record 3 straight games of 10-plus receptions and 150 or more receiving yards. 8 players have done this in 2 straight games. Keep in mind, at the start of the fourth quarter, as I mentioned, Cooper rushed through 2 straight passes to CeeDee Lamb of 5 yards and 4 yards to get him to those 11 catches and that 151-yard mark. So I was wondering what was happening, and then we realized it was NFL history. And our final stat to help Dave and his Jacksonville Jaguars will be 0. So even though the 49ers were leading 34-3 at Jacksonville, San Francisco tried to get Christian McCaffrey a touchdown. The team's last 5 plays all went to McCaffrey. However, he did not find the end zone. So Jacksonville has a little bit of a reason to celebrate as they held Christian McCaffrey to 0 touchdowns on Sunday. This ended the star running back's run of 17 straight games with a touchdown. He remains tied with Hall of Famer Lenny Moore, who set the record in 1965. It was the first time McCaffrey didn't score since week 7 of 2022. So San Francisco is at home this week versus Tampa Bay. We will see if he can start that streak again. If I am a betting man, I will bet on any time touchdown for Christian McCaffrey this week. And our bonus statistic, you talked about Lawrence Phillips. Lawrence Phillips once did run the football for the Montreal Alouettes. So this Sunday is the 110th edition of our version of the Super Bowl in Canada, the CFL's Grey Cup. What is interesting is in a title that's been contested 110 times, is the first time ever the Montreal Alouettes will play the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in this game. And of course, if you're not too familiar with CFL football, there are only 9 total teams in the CFL as it stands right now. So in 110 years, the likelihood of these 2 teams playing each other, you'd think, would have happened. However, Montreal was only founded in 1946. They have folded twice. They have won 7 Grey Cups. They are the only team, technically, as the Baltimore Stallions, if you remember the Baltimore Stallions in 94-95, to win a Grey Cup from outside of Canada. The 1995 Grey Cup champions will always be the Baltimore Stallions. And of course, for their part, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, founded in 1930, have won 12 Grey Cups. They are our version of the Buffalo Bills, although they have won. They are appearing in their 4th straight Grey Cup. They won the Grey Cup in 2019 and 2021. In 2020, during COVID, we did not have an CFL season. They did play in the Grey Cup last year, lost to Toronto, and they will look to win 3 of the last 4 Grey Cups with a win this weekend. The game will be played in Hamilton. I believe there's 8 or 9. My CFL knowledge should be better than this.
Arena football teams, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, thought there would be more, but still going. Did people go to those games? Like, I don't know. Like,
9 teams. So there's a 5-division team and a 4-division team. I was right with 9. But yeah, the CFL is very popular in Canada, and teams.
Is it?
Yeah, okay. Most teams sell out.
It's not hockey or curling, but it's like probably the 5th sport in the.
Yeah, definitely top 20, for sure.
yeah. It's like ice fishing is above them. You know, so it just seems like there would have been more teams just because the league's been around for so long. You know, they would have grown this sport up and down Canada.
The CFL definitely had some issues. I'm not going to lie. I am probably one of these Canadians that watches more NFL than CFL, so I'm not a good Canadian in that respect. But there's been issues with the league many times. You know, they do not get as funded as well as the NFL. They don't play their players as well. There's always been talk back in the day about players having to have supplemental jobs just to, have a living wage. Right. A couple times you have, historic players that come. Ricky Williams actually played for the Toronto Argonauts for a little bit after he got into trouble in the NFL. We've had Doug Flutie before he resurged back in the NFL.
And Warren Moon.
Warren Moon started his career. I think he was on a Edmonton Eskimos team, or now the Edmonton Elks team that I think won 5 straight Grey Cups back in the day.
Johnny Manziel.
I don't know if Johnny Manziel. I think Johnny Manziel, came in and thought about. I think he was put on the negotiation list of the Alouettes at one point. but
I remember that.
nothing
Very
ever came of
significant.
But it's
that.
also too, it's like
professional athlete being
I-
indigenous.
To put on for the little kids that are looking up to me. Just try to do things the right way.
Dane Evans.
And just know, and that's something my mom used to tell me all the
Oh,
time.
It's
Don
really
Landry.
cool to share
Okay.
a field with
I read
Dane.
Landry. I thought
remember
maybe
he was at the University of
that kid
Tulsa
Landry
when
used
I
to
was
play for
throughout high
Pittsburgh,
school,
and
and
then he went to
I
the
watched him
CFL,
growing
but
up,
they're just like
and
great
always
players,
wanted to
man.
kind of be him. That's why I
Fantastic
wanted to
players
go
on
to
there.
Anything, hit me
Hey,
up,
man.
for sure.
I used to follow
I always got your back.
NFL Europe
Yep.
was a
When
thing
I
for
do
me.
meet
I
a
used
guy
to,
that's
like,
indigenous
watch,
like
like,
myself,
Cologne
we
team
kind
and
of
the
share a
Rhine
special
Fire.
bond right away. When me and Mason both were
London-
playing.
the
As far
London
as I know,
Admirals,
that's
right?
the first time in recent history that
I love that. I
two
love
indigenous
football.
quarterbacks were on the field
Yeah.
going against each other.
The Argos
so
were
to
16
circle
and
back
2. They were
now
upset by the
to
Alouettes in the
being
East
in
Division
September
finals,
and
but
just one
Chad
day
Kelly
before
is the
Truth
quarterback
and
for the Argos.
Reconciliation Day. I
Remember
think that's
Chad
awesome.
Kelly.
I think the
Is that
CFL
your
is taking a
team?
great first step.
I live in the nation's capital, Ottawa, but I like the Argos. Sure, why not?
They
I don't
put
really
they're
take
old school.
pride
They
in-
put the goalpost in the end zone.
They do.
That's,
And we've talked
scary.
about this now. I know in Canada, obviously, many different rules. One of them is the defensive line has to be 1 yard off the football, so they can't be nose to nose
Okay.
on these quarterback sneaks and stuff. But the CFL always runs in a backup quarterback to run the QB sneak. They never put the starting quarterback in the QB sneak, which is, I think, something that they should do in the NFL. You know,
That's
the tush
smart.
push. Why not put
No,
someone
man.
else
Have
under
you seen
center?
these
But
backup quarterbacks? They'll fumble the snap, man.
No, I
They
get
don't
it,
trust
but-
these guys to save your
I
life.
think you got to make a Taysom Hill. I think every team needs like a Taysom Hill utility player where you can just bang him into the middle of the field, or you can have him, toss a short, accurate throw. He's
I
not.
don't know why. How many guys are really getting hurt on the quarterback sneak if the guy's a yard off?
Not everybody's Cam Newton. Maybe you got. I'm
Jalen
not.
Hurts as well.
I'm not putting Tua to do a sneak on 4th and 1, and
I didn't really watch a lot of Cardinals Falcons this week, but Clayton Tune did have a 1 yard touchdown run, so I'm assuming he came in and ran the QB sneak in Arizona for the Cardinals. I would have to assume that's what happened there.
Yeah,
But anyways, just
coming
to
off
put a
an
bow
ACL
on
tear,
it,
yeah.
once again, your pick six stats this week are 59 minutes, 20 seconds, 10, 324, 11 for 151, 0, and your bonus 110 years of Grey Cup history. The first time ever the Alouettes will take on the Blue Bombers. So I don't know if you're betting on that, AC, but that's pick six. We'll just talk very briefly in
You
Flaming
got to
Hot.
be a
so
degenerate
coaches on.
gambler to really bet on some CFL.
This
CFL.
is the Canadian Super Bowl, okay? It's the biggest football game Canada will have all year. But I think just very quickly, coaches could come to mind on the hot seat for me. Obviously, Bill Belichick's name very much on the hot seat. I didn't think I'd ever say that in the 2023 season, but after coming off a embarrassing loss in Germany to the Colts in a 10-6, we can talk about that for a second, but I think Bill Belichick definitely on the hot seat, and Brandon Staley's name will always come up. Another loss for the Chargers this week to the Detroit Lions by 3. But any other coaches for either of you on the hot seat?
Yeah. Hey, man, when you fire your OC right after that game, you're trying to save your own ass. They're gonna fire Sean McDermott.
Absolutely.
Just because it's expectation. And so anytime you have, a like this kind of a fall off, and the mistakes they're making are coaching mistakes, like the 12 men on the field, the not running it, time management on the clock, knowing exactly where you're supposed to be, especially in the second half, like trying to aggressively push the ball down the field that didn't need it, and getting points on there, not stopping them on 4th and giving up that weird touchdown to Cortland Sutherland. Like, it's just unexcusable. This team has probably hit a ceiling with McDermott. They're going to need some type of coming with offensive. They're probably going to throw a ton of money to Ben Johnson and try to get him away from Detroit. And see if they can somehow get Josh Allen to start playing within the confines of an offense. Kind of reminded me of when they fired Mike Sherman for the Packers. They say, enough of this stuff, and they bring in McCarthy, right? And so I think they've had enough of this shenanigans.
Anyone else come to mind on the hot seat, AC, for you, or do you think that's we kind of covered the big ones there?
Definitely Sean McDermott. There's no question about that. I was bringing this up, a little visual for everybody. Sean McDermott's substitution penalty was inexcusable, which is true.
It's on him.
It's on him. Like, there's nothing. Where are you going to go with it?
Well, he did. He fired a scapegoat. He fired the OC, like Ken Dorsey did. Like Ken Dorsey had his issues, but they had they're second in offense. like they scored 26 points a game. They were like 13 points. You know what I'm saying? And so maybe you want to run the ball a little more, but he doesn't throw bad interceptions for Josh. It just seemed like I have to fire someone or they're going to fire me. And so they fired
Of
him.
course. Yeah, no,
I thought it was odd.
which is something to me, and it
So
shows that you can't really. That's not what leader of men do. So moving on to
I know I got one more on the hot seat though, and this is honest truth, and this just might be. Dennis Allen might be the worst coach of all time. And so he's always been a loser, always will be. And he's literally coached that team to they have a lot of talent on them. And if they don't make the playoffs and they somehow scrape into that and get that thing, I just don't know how you bring them back next year after a disappointing year last year. And then it was just like, I don't know. It's like, and they're going to go into some sat calorie hells. I just don't know why you bring Dennis Allen back. So I think he's going to be fired as well.
And he coaches for the Saints, in case anybody is not quite sure who Dennis Allen.
He was horrible with the Raiders, fired him really fast. He's a good DC, and sometimes a lot of times too, these guys are great coordinators, and they just don't make good head coaches, right? And so just give him a side of the ball. I think he'll still be back as DC really good. Kind of reminds me like a Dick LeBeau. But anytime you give these guys head coaching positions, they just fail.
Well, yeah, speaking like the Raiders, Josh McDaniels, similar, probably a good coordinator, maybe not a great head coach. And now the talk will always come up with Eric Bieniemy there in Washington, who, Sam Howell actually leads the NFL in passing yards. He also leads the NFL in getting sacked. But, Bieniemy moved on from Kansas City, still a coordinator with Washington. He's always been, why hasn't he got a head coaching job? But maybe he is one of those guys destined to always be a coordinator. Bill Belichick, obviously on the hot seat, but a lot of his coordinators famously went on to head coaching jobs and were not as successful as they were as coordinators.
But I think with the Marvin Lewis, right? I remember Marvin Lewis got the Baltimore to win a Super Bowl, right? And they were like, can't get a head coach. So he goes to Jordan Schottenheimer's Redskins at the time, got him halfway decent. Then he gets the Cincinnati job, right? And I think Bieniemy's going to do the same thing. Get him halfway decent, then someone will give him the job. They just have to see whether it's you or them, right? They needed to see whether it was him or Mahomes. And now they kind of see that it's him. And Nagy's horrible over there. That's why the team's kind of getting hurt by the offensive coordinator. I think Bieniemy's going to get over there because I think at the time with Lewis, they were like, "Well, is it Ray Lewis? Is it all these guys that is he a really good defensive coordinator? Or is he just a schlep?" And so I think sometimes you have to separate yourself from the talent to show, "Hey, I'm a good coach." And I think Bieniemy's going to do that as well.
All right, so those are kind of your coaches to keep an eye on the hot seat. Of course, as the weeks progress, we will see more and more coaches. Seats get warmer, and maybe a couple
Black Friday, season. Black Monday every year.
That is the first Monday after the final week of the season. Yeah, so we move on from the coaches on the hot seat to players who you might not see in the lineup this week. These are our boo-hoos and boo-boos from week 10 heading into week 10 heading into week 11. So we have a couple here in Atlanta. Quarterback Taylor Heineke suffered a hamstring injury, so Desmond Ridder had to come back in. So the Falcons still don't know who their starting quarterback will be coming into this week for all of you Falcons fans, but it looks like they want to move on from Ridder, but they can't because Heineke can't stay on the field. Baltimore has a couple injuries maybe to keep an eye on because they have a short week coming up, a game in 2 days' time against division rival Cincinnati. Offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley and cornerback Marlon Humphrey. Humphrey suffered a calf strain, and Ronnie Stanley suffered a knee injury. Fortunately for Humphrey, it looks like he avoided the Achilles injury. He's considered day-to-day. We'll probably know more about these two players in the next couple of days because, again, they play very soon. Carolina Panthers cornerback J.C. Horn returned after the 21-day activation window from the IR, so maybe we'll see him soon, much like Miami Dolphins running back Devon Achane, who has also been activated off the 21-day or off the IR back in that 21-day practice window. So the team now has 3 weeks to either activate him and bring him back on the 53-man roster or leave him on the IR the remainder of the season. So that's kind of how that works.
No rush. I got mustard on my fantasy. No rush on H.
Yeah.
Just a couple more weeks. Let me get a little some of that mustard.
In Cleveland, we already showed a picture of Deshaun Watson earlier today, but after the Browns win, Watson was seen in a walking boot, so he's been suffering from that shoulder injury for the last couple of weeks. But there's nothing going on really according to that. We'll see with the game coming up in Pittsburgh, and also Browns corner Denzel Ward's injury. Suffered a minor neck strain on Sunday. He's going to be fine, according to sources. Who those sources are, we do not know. We are not official journalists here. Los Angeles Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford, who missed last week in the last couple games due to that thumb injury, is progressing, and he should be there to start against the Seahawks this week.
Yes.
And then Minnesota's running back Alexander Mattison had a concussion or concussion-like symptoms during Week 10 in the win over the Saints. They have signed Myles Gaskin, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, a former Dolphin running back, I believe. now in Minnesota. Cam Akers, obviously, we mentioned the Achilles injury in week 9. So Madison might not be playing week 11. So adjust your fantasy lineups accordingly in Minnesota. And New Orleans, Derek Carr, Marshawn Lattimore, and Michael Thomas. Carr left the game
they
with
had
a
a
right
bad
shoulder
week.
injury and concussion. So he is in the protocol. We will see if he's available for the Saints coming up. Michael Thomas, knee, and Marshawn Lattimore, ankle, made early exits. So that is Dennis Allen coaching for his job, potentially.
Remember when Michael Thomas was good? What happened to that cat? Like, he just
Michael
fell
Thomas
off, man.
fell off the map very, very quickly. The
That-
Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Quan Alexander makes the list as well. He left the game against Green Bay, reporting that the linebacker suffered a season-ending Achilles. So it seems like Achilles are the new hamstring or the new MCL, ACL tears. So it looks like Quan Alexander is done. And then Baker Mayfield, much like Matthew Stafford, hit his thumb on a helmet in the fourth quarter. But by all accounts, he is going to be good to go for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, if nothing else, he's a tough cat that always wants to be in there. Never wants to give up.
I don't know. Aaron
Rodgers
Rodgers is coming back from Achilles. They said he's walking, he's throwing. I was like, oh, man, he can't come back this year. I never seen a guy tear his Achilles and come back, but
should be mentioned for the Saints, Derek Carr, Michael Thomas, and Marlon Humphrey. Whoever it was, they are on the bye week this week, so they have a week to recover.
Oh, man.
Marlon Humphreys was for Baltimore. The Saints have Marshawn Lattimore, their cornerback. Sorry, cornerback confusion.
Or field. Like some reason that throughout the end of the year, Baltimore just starts losing person after person. They got to look at either their training, their facility, something, because they can't be 5 years in a row like the worst injured team. Like, they just find a way to just have their team tear apart by injuries.
And as mentioned, you won't see it in a lot of these injury updates, but it has been reported. At least I saw that Cowboys lose Leighton Vander Esch for the season, which is important for me as a Cowboys fan, but for most of the NFL, they realize Vander Esch is hurt often and has not been playing. Anyway, for the Cowboys,
they have another hurt linebacker too. Remember, like
Sean Lee.
Yes, man, it was like Sean give you good 8-9 games, man, and it'd be like out for the season. Damn it, Sean.
Yeah, Sean Lee was the linebacker that was always questionable. We weren't sure if he was playing, and then Leighton Vander Esch has assumed that role.
He took over.
So,
okay, yeah, he got you, Lee. Yeah. Oh man.
So I don't know what it is, but playing linebacker for the Cowboys, especially that middle linebacker position. But Leighton Vander Esch has been dealing with that neck injury for a couple of years, so that neck is a tricky injury.
Yeah,
but other than that,
unfortunately,
keep an eye on the injury report, because it's important for your teams. It's also important for fantasy football. So you never know, you might find a nice sleeper. Who knows if a Minnesota running back could be the reason why you win a fantasy football matchup this week. Even though we've talked about my Minnesota not really rushing for touchdowns, but Josh Dobbs has gone in there. And is he the team's leading touchdown scorer on the ground this year for the Vikings? He must be at this point.
Might be. I'm not lying to you. Kevin O'Connell forgets to run sometimes, but then I look at the backs and I'm like, I can't blame you. A bunch of bums, and we don't really run block all that great, but like you just don't have the guys, man. Madison stinks. No cutback. Like, I don't know what it gets angry is because like you saw him in camp. You know, sometimes you look at a team and you're like, you saw him in camp. You saw he can't do this. Why wait to the season to go into the season with this guy? You know,
they thought it would be different. But yeah, Josh Dobbs has 2 rushing touchdowns. That is the most on the team.
If you got a
Ty
rocket
Chandler and Cam Akers, who will not be running the ball anymore for Minnesota, have your other 2 rushing touchdowns. But remember, I think it was 6 or 7 straight weeks without finding pay dirt on the ground.
Shave your eyebrows, because Dobbs is there. He don't got no hair.
No, and he's completely hairless.
Yeah, right. He can't grow hair. That's what makes him so fast. That's why he gets in and out. He doesn't have nothing down.
I would buy that theory if he was like swimming in a pool. That could help him, but he's still got to wear the helmet, the shoulder pads.
Oh yeah, he still got.
I don't think that could help him at all. But
love him.
Why not? Let's just go to transition right to fact or fiction. So if either of you have a fact or fiction, let's see if what you come up with is fact or fiction through the world of the NFL.
Josh, you want to go or?
I mean, yeah, I have a factor. I always have a factor of fiction. That's literally the only thing that's going on in my head are these questions that are maybe they're easy to others, but to me they're like conundrums. I'm trying to see into the future, and I'm trying to find a reason. So, fact or fiction? CJ Stroud will win a Super Bowl.
Oh man, no, not joking.
It's a fair question.
I'm gonna say
he looks better than most rookies. He didn't throw an interception for 8 weeks, and now he's beating professional teams. He looks better than Trevor Lawrence did, and he has all the intangibles. He's a small quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback, right? So Lamar Jackson hasn't won one, and he's more gifted on his feet.
You're asking me, does CJ Stroud win one or the Houston Texans? Like, here's the issue is because I don't trust the Texans to build the team around them.
No.
Like, you're asking me that management, that general management, like they've had Deshaun Watson, they've had guys like they've done a cluster of really building rosters. So I don't know. We'll see. You know, they have to show me that they know what the hell they're doing.
I'm asking if CJ Stroud is going to win a Super Bowl.
Well, he's connected to him. I'm going to say no until I see.
Yeah, see, the caveat is he could play out for a different team and win a Super Bowl. You said he's a small quarterback. He is 6'2". He's not.
He's not. Bryce is small. He's actually a good, size.
He's 6'2". That's right on the cusp of.
That's huge in today's NFL with all these small quarterbacks. like before, back in the day, it was small, but now, when you got Kylers and Tuas and Bryces and Jalen's smaller.
Tua's 6 feet tall. We're looking at the most accurate quarterback in the NFL of all time was 6 feet tall, and so it can be done. However,
Young wasn't 6 feet tall.
The most accurate quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah,
Drew Brees.
Was it still Steve Young? Drew Brees? I don't know. Maybe I'll give it to Drew. You're right. I was not Steve, but I would go.
Allow Drew to have it. To be like, come on, he was. I don't want to say that. I want a 6'6" guy. Of course, that passes get batted down. What I'm saying is, let me simplify it. He's obviously with the Houston Texans, but you see how good he is. He didn't throw a pick forever. He's very gifted. He makes the right decision. He reads very good defense.
Yes.
He throws it away when he has to. He slides. He does have the athletic prowess to put it in small windows. Let me finish. All of that. Better than the people who said like generational talents and Joe Burrows and all that. Joe Burrow hasn't won one. He was like the next coming of God. Josh Allen too. So knowing all of that, he's surpassed all of that in any rookie season. He might be the best rookie of all time, quarterback wise. Are you going to tell me today that he's never going to? You have to say yes or no. Fact or fiction? Is he going to win a Super Bowl with Houston or any other team in his entire career? It's a good question.
Fiction.
It's a good question, but there are so many levels to the question.
Justin Herbert have the best rookie season before him. First of all, these numbers are inflated. So it's hard to go off the numbers wise. We've seen rookie quarterback. I'm not saying he's a bad. I like him and I think he's going to do well. But we've seen rookie guys have their rookie year. Man, I can list them.
Yeah, Peyton Manning.
We go back from Rick. Well, no, really, he had a horrible rookie year and 28 interceptions. But we've seen guys like Rick Meyer won the rookie year over the Drew Bledsoe. RG3, had his phenomenal year, right? And Justin Herbert just a couple of years ago. Roethlisberger won 11 in a row, but he didn't, my thing is, will they build the team around? Can he show the growth? Is he doing? I like what I see from him, but we see these rookies come in, they, and have great seasons sometimes. And then, we start anointing them a little too early. Right. And then some of the times the guys that struggle a little bit when they get it together and then real quick, he has a long way to go. And when they start putting some tape and when they start finding his tendencies, we'll kind of see how that works. But this man, this is a trickle bitch, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's Baker Mayfield. Like, he's on his fourth team. Like, Matthew Stafford had, like, when he first got in there. Like, so you get him in here, and then they have to start doing it, because are you going to stay with the Tank Dells, Nico Collins? The running game hasn't really been much. I like what DeMar he's doing with the defense, kind of taping it together, but the back end of that thing's still the secondary is still terrible. Derek Stingley's probably been a bust.
I ask you again. Will CJ Stroud ever win a Super Bowl in his career?
No.
Fact or fiction?
He's gonna, just because he's gonna. You got Patrick Mahomes in there. You got Tua. You got Joe Burrows. You got guys like he's gonna have to barrel through because his own division.
My point is that he did better than all of these people, and it's still week 10, and he did better than all of those rookies combined.
He did. Mm-hmm. Justin Herbert had a great rookie season.
It's a very
38 touchdowns, 10 picks.
Interesting question. There's multiple layers to it. So obviously,
despite
first of all, he has to win the conference and play in a Super Bowl and win it, whether it's with Houston or anyone else. Brandon's done a great job of kind of breaking down Houston And then he also mentioned, obviously, the AFC and the quarterbacks they have in it. The other thing we have to factor in, he's 22 years old. He is a rookie. Now, typically quarterbacks have played to age 33, 34, 35 back in the day. So, you're looking at maybe 10, 11, 12 years of his career. But lately, we've seen the Tom Brady's, the Aaron Rodgers play into their 40s. So does he have 18? Does he have 20 years left in his career? So that's also an interesting facet of it. How many years does he have left, being a 22-year-old rookie? Yeah. I kind of look at it kind of like how Brandon was kind of going there towards the end. Just in the AFC alone, you have to beat teams like Buffalo, like Miami, like the Jets next year with Aaron Rodgers. Are they going to be a contender? Is Patrick Mahomes going to win 2 or 3 more? Are the Chargers ever going to put together? Ken Russell Wilson, the Broncos? It's just so hard to come out and play in a Super Bowl. I'm just going to have to go fiction on that alone. We went through a run there where the Super Bowl for, I don't even know how many years, but from 2000 and I believe it was 3 till Patrick Mahomes started going recently with the Chiefs, it was either Tom Brady and the Patriots, Peyton Manning and the Colts, or Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers representing the AFC in the Super Bowl
every time
for so many years, other than 1 year where Joe Flacco got in and he won it. So.
And it kept guys like Phillip Rivers out. It kept guys like
so many.
Some other guys that where it was like, hey man, thanks for coming, kick rocks and stuff. So, but I tell you this though is, because I think that I still think that Anthony Richardson could probably be something if they get him in something. But man, did Carolina screw up again? Like, come on, guys. It's not just you didn't draft the right guy. It's you traded up to draft the wrong
guy.
Like that is
universe.
Like it's going to set you guys back and again, Carolina doing Carolina things. Yeah, like
fairly or unfairly, they are going to be linked forever because they were taking
Always.
1 and 2 in the draft. But there are so many situations and so many factors that go into drafting a player. The team they get drafted to and things like that. But yes, the more success Stroud has and the lack of success that Bryce Young has in Carolina.
Yeah.
And they will always be compared. But AC, to your own question, you asked the question, but fact or fiction, do you believe CJ Stroud, which could be at the hands of your Miami Dolphins, wins the Super Bowl?
Well, thank you, because I did want to have a final word on this because it's not lost on me how layered this is. It's like in my mind, I'm like, this kid is phenomenal. He makes amazing decisions. He's pinpoint accurate. He can run. He can extend the play. He's not small. He's not big, which means he can be elusive. He is probably he's almost like a next generation quarterback. If Justin Herbert was like last generation, this would be like, mobile, but like accurate, stop on a dime. So all of these things are not lost on me. Like he's doing so many things better than the people that we exalt. Burrow, Josh Allen. He's doing it better than them on a worse team. Okay. He's showing out on a team with no wide receivers. He's showing out on a team with mediocre at best defense that's being rebuilt. He's doing it all on his back, right? It would be the layering is like, despite his team. My question is like, despite his team, can he win it? Is he that good that he can transcend his team and catapult them to somewhere else because he's that good, right? Or he has to do it. The other multi-layer is that he has to do it in between 5 years. That's when the window closes. Are you going to pay him and then what? Build the team around it?
No, yeah. Well,
because if he does that well, if he keeps playing like this, you're going to have to pay him immediately. His 4th year, you're going to have to extend him, or maybe even 3rd, like Kyler. Like we want you forever, and that says a lot because if not, he's going to test the waters, and that's really where my 4th layer is. Will he like almost cost himself out? Like will you play himself out of Houston? Right. And then to a team that might be a quarterback away. And then that's how he gets his chip. So it could be like, if he plays too well in the next 4 years, they're going to lose him or pay him. And then he's just going to languish in Houston forever, or get rid of him, pull a Matt Stafford. Now you're in a new city. You have a brand new offensive line and weapons, and you're going to go win it easily. Right. That's all you needed. So that's like 4 layers to that question. You have to think about it because he's in a bad situation.
No, they're rare. They always extend him, so that's very rare unless he just tanks it. But with the season he's having, he's going to be extended for sure. It's whether they can build the team that is good enough while he's still in his rookie contract. I do agree with you on that. But he's not going to become a free agent. Never. He doesn't get to choose that.
He'll get traded. I'm saying he'll get traded, and he'll be like, I want to get traded here.
This ain't the basketball. You go nowhere. You sit your butt down there and you take the extensions. There's only one guy that's ever gotten traded about Deshaun Watson, and that was on some like weird stuff, right?
So
but that was like, other than that, these guys, if the team wants you, they keep you. Like it's like they can keep you for the 5th year, franchise tag you 2 years. They get 7 of your best years.
7 years. Yeah, 7 years.
Yeah, and so it's easier, cheaper just to extend them. Most quarterbacks, even the halfway kind of guys, are getting that extension in the 3rd year. Like Tua, Jalen, Justin Herbert. And now if you're screwing up and they're kind of questioning it, then you don't get it. But he's shown already in his 1st year that he'll get the extension in the 3rd year. Like okay. I just can't.
So he's getting extended. Yeah, he's getting extended.
Yeah, they're going to extend his 3rd year. Yeah.
That's it.
Now, but you have that rookie window open. Usually, what they do is now that they know he's good, what they should do is now that you got that cap space is our next year free agent wise trade. Now they can go get the players, right? So when Stephon Diggs is complaining, you can absorb his contract because you got him on the rookie contract. Yeah. You get that rookie window, you can start building around him fast enough. By the time you hit his contract, you'll start losing the players. He should. So
now you have a 2-year window in a 1st-round player. So when you
3 years, yeah, but you got to hurry.
No,
that's why I don't trust this. I don't trust this management to go get these dogs. Like I don't see them.
They're not going to win this year.
No.
But now you have 2 because the 3rd year you're going to pay them. So you have 2.
No. You extend them. You extend them on the 3rd year, but the extension doesn't hit until after his 5th. Does that make sense? Like he's a 1st-round draft pick.
It's not on the books.
No, it's not on the books until after the 5th year. So you can still build around them. But here's the thing with it is that, do you trust these guys to go get him an AJ Brown or stuff?
Now it depends on the coaching team. He could have 3 offensive coordinators in the next 4 years. Who knows?
He could, yeah, but it shows me this. Him and Bobby, I think it's Sloan, the coordinator they got from San Francisco. He's offensive coordinator there. They're on sync together. I like that. Now, this is what they, you can see the issues they have. They have no running game. Singletary and Pierce has kind of gone back. Can they go get a dog there so he doesn't have to throw this many times? They're probably going to have to go figure out some type of. You like those wide receivers, but are they dogs enough to kind of that big name guy? So I think they can go after some guys because wide receivers are always disgruntled. I wouldn't be surprised if they go after T. Higgins next year because I don't think Cincinnati's going to re-sign him. And then. Can they get that defense humming, enough where they don't, because that back end secondary, they probably got to bring in a shutdown corner. But they have the cap space to do it. I just do trust the front office to go get him, right? There's not a Harry Ross.
It could be different front office. So. That's the 5th layer to this. Now that they got to treat them right? And the training staff has to keep them healthy.
That's exactly. And those are kind of the layers where it's like, can these teams get these quarterbacks? Look at Los Angeles. It's like, you get Justin Herbert. You have probably Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Eckler back there. And you're telling me you can't even sniff the playoffs but one time? Like, that's where the man goes because the quarterback is only as good as what he can do, right?
And a kid who broke Dan Marino's, records and shit. When he was.
Yeah. You thought by now Herbert would have been in, a championship game as good as he was playing. And right now you're looking at it I don't know if they're going to make playoffs this year. And that's kind of scary. And so Houston's been known to screw up things. They started out with David Carr, and then Watson, and then between then they had Matt Schaub and some other guys. This is the boy. The one that makes me feel good is they have the coach there, and I think he's going to make sure that they are there. But.
CJ, congratulations on the win.
Okay. So fiction, Dan, fiction.
How are you guys able to edge out
myself.
the Bengals today?
I'm gonna go fiction just because I'm not. The percentages are not on his side. A lot of different things have to happen. A lot of things have to happen in concert and harmony for him to win one, because I don't think that Houston is capable enough to put together the roster that he needs and the amount of time that he needs and the kind of aggressive moves that you have to do to clean house and turn over and then hit on almost every draft pick and free agents and coaches and scheme and all of those things. I think the cards are stacked against him where he landed. His only hope is to get a Stafford deal and get the heck out of there. And then
that's tough.
And
the Stafford deal thing that takes 10 years after that. You have to have a Matt Patricia for 3 years, just ruining your career. I would say this though is what I'll give them a little credit for. When the quarterback is good in the first year, a lot of times, man, the reason they haven't built the team around the quarterback is because these guys rarely show it in their first year. So they wait to the second year, they wait to the third year, right? Like they didn't give Tua was in his third year by the time they get him Tyreek, right? And so they wait usually to see if you deserve it. He's shown right now that they can put the chips into the pot. And when you can show them the first year that you got this, then you can actually go spend money the next couple of years if you do it right. So I would say they got a head start because they know in the first year. You got to remember, there's no other. Usually, you don't know. You know, these rookie quarterbacks, they're like, okay, they kind of muddle through, and then you go, okay, well, the second year. And then the third year, they show something, and then the GM says, okay, let me go spend some money. Now the GM knows he can just spend the money this year. And so that gives them enough time to go.
Spend the money
I
on.
just don't know.
Spend the money on Bryce Young. Go spend the money on that.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like
you gotta wait.
Well, yeah, because now they go, okay, you know, they gave him
Trey Lance.
You know, they
give up 3.
Give him Thielen over there. They got a couple guys, but the offensive line's bad. And yeah, because here's the honest truth is it's not so much a free agency because you know there's not a ton of good free agents in the NFL. But there's trades. And so what you do is you have to absorb these contracts. So there's probably a wide receiver running back that wants to get paid. The team don't want to pay him.
They're one away.
This is honest truth is there two people they should go after: T. Higgins and Jonathan Taylor, right? But I think Jonathan did get signed, I think though. But a little bit, but picked up another year on that. Saquon Barkley only signed 1 year deal. Don't be
man.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley I think is available right after this year he's done, and he wants a contract, and you can afford to pay the running back now. Like you usually can't do that, but now I can give him a contract, a 3-year this because I'm not paying the quarterback nothing, so it doesn't hurt my cap. Now, does Saquon go into Houston help them? You know, we'll see. You know, or something like that. And I think you got to give him a big wide receiver. That's why I say T. Higgins because they got a lot of little guys, Nico Collins and Tig Dell. They're fast, they're speedy. You need like a big guy in the kind of corner. I think that would kind of help them. And then what's available on the corner side to kind of help out the secondary, some type of safety to kind of make sure they don't get beat over the top. But if you could add these pieces and you got the cap space to do it, and then you get him humming, then because then you got Russell Wilson in his second year win the Super Bowl. No. You know, because they had him at rookie, they go get Percy Harvin, they go get Clef Averill, they go get Bennett, and then they go win a Super Bowl.
No, that's not the same organization. It's not run the same. They're not going to do that.
And you got to remember too, what Seattle had a Legion of Boom on defense. So you've been talking about getting a wide receiver, getting a running back, but what you really want to make sure is you shore up that offensive line. You got Will Anderson as the third overall pick in the same draft. Yeah. So you want to make sure that defensive line is shored up. And you talk about the corner, that secondary help. If you can build a strong defense, D'Amico Ryans, you know, a linebacker back in his day, a defensive-minded guy, knows what a defense needs to be successful. So if you can build a strong defense around him, I think the pieces you put around him on offense, he's already shown it with a Nico Collins, with a Tank Dell, with a Noah Brown, who was like a fourth-string receiver on Dallas, who couldn't even see the field. Right? Dalton Schultz was a good tight end for the Cowboys, but each week I'm watching Noah Brown and Dalton Schultz light it up for the Houston Texans, thinking, you know, would they be great on the Cowboys? But then at the same time, the Cowboys still have to spread the ball around to a lot of players. But you know, there are so many factors that go into
this.
The other
is you got to remember like the expectations this year. You got to remember that division is all rookie quarterbacks except for Trevor. And they also play in the NFC South. Like when he does get a first or second place schedule, when there's expectations, let's see how this team really goes. But I'm loving what I see from them. But they're so far away from guys that are but I'll tell you this though, you're right about this. The guys that we're comparing him to are going to start getting paid. And their teams are going to start getting pulled away while he's that one good guy on a rookie contract. And so they might be ascending. So watch out for them.
Well, there's still that guy in Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, that has yet to. We've seen that big drop off, even though when they're on their down years, they're still winning 7 out of their first 9 games. So we still got to see if they can knock off the heavy hitters. Just need a
Hall of Fame tight end. That's all.
That's why it's fiction, dude. That's why it's fiction. There's too many.
It is. But it's not far though. Like if I'm not gonna lie to you, they're closer than a lot of the teams.
They got to climb out through Indianapolis, which you yourself said that Anthony Richardson can do something. He's got to climb through Will Levis, right? He's got to he's got a hell of an arm, dude. He's got a hell of an arm.
I think the bigger question here is if you're Dave and you're cheering for the Jaguars, are you concerned that the Jaguars, where we thought maybe would have a lock on this division for a few years, is that window now you closing in just that division? And is Houston a contender for this division, not only this year, but in the next few years? Will they surpass Jacksonville once again and be the front runner? Could this be the new version of the NFC East, where a different division winner for 14, 15 straight years? Who knows?
All right, so I got my fact or fiction is.
Oh, we're gonna keep going. Okay.
Yeah, I got it. Well, just tell me this though.
Okay.
Is the NFC South the worst division of all time? This accumulance of a division. This
I don't know,
built up. These
the
four teams.
NFC least of, I think it was like 4 years ago now, was pretty bad back in the day.
Yeah, I like usually there's one good team and then like 3 losers, and we call it a bad division. But there's 4 losers. And so I don't think I've ever seen the division where I don't think they deserve a playoff spot.
Well, they were bad last year too, even with Tom Brady in that division. I think didn't Tampa Bay make it?
But Tom got 10 wins, right? I think
last year
right?
did they get 10 wins, or were they 8-9 last year?
No. I thought they got double digits. I could be wrong. I gotta you check me out that for me. I thought they got 10, but I could be wrong, right? But this one's rough, man. There's like at least that the year Tom's had them out there, but they won the Super Bowl. Like you felt like they had some things. This year it's like
2022
quarterbacks are Baker,
Tampa Bay 8-9, Carolina, Saints, and Falcons all 7-10.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, maybe that was pretty rough season 2. Maybe it's just because of the 4 losers at quarterback, and that we had Tom, and we thought it was still pretty good, even But man, Baker Mayfield, whatever Bryce Young is. The combination of Ritter and Heineke, and the leftover.
It's definitely in an NFL where now we definitely focus on the quarterbacks, the names at quarterback in the NFC South. They're not jumping off the page, but to call them the worst division in NFL history, I'll say fiction for now. We still have to see it play out, because even if one of these teams has a winning record by the end, they will not be considered a terrible division. We've seen divisions last year, this division alone, and wasn't it Seattle when they had that beast mode moment? Weren't they a 7-9 team or something like that got into the playoffs?
The records on that is there a team in the division that has the winning record?
No, right now there's a team at 500. That's it. I think the Saints are 5-5.
500.
And then Tampa Bay and Atlanta both have 4 wins, 4-5 and 4-6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, let's wait till the end of the year, right? Maybe the Saints, you're right, can get to that 9-win kind of thing. But my God, man.
Not of all time NFL history, they're not. I would have to do more research to get back to you, but for now, I'd put a pin in.
Like there used to be the old like AFC East used to be bad, but they had that one good team, and then like was 3 bottom feeders. There's always usually like one good steady team for the represent the division, and I don't know who this team is. I thought it was the Saints, but they just look like garbage the last couple and so now in the Saints, the Falcons are who they are, and then man, I don't know. Don't feel good about any of them, to be honest with you.
Is this coming because your Vikings beat up on Atlanta and New Orleans last 2 weeks? So you beat up on this.
That doesn't help. But I'm talking like I'm with the Buccaneers. Like they were on a 5-game losing streak, and you don't even them winning that ugly game against Tennessee. You just feel like they're not going to win much. Maybe like 3 more games. So I guess they play each other, so they've all kind of cannibalized their wins there. But there's nobody in there that I would feel like, hey man, you deserve a playoff spot. I guess there's going to be some team I think that gets cut out of it. I think that division is just kind of like ugly to watch. And
I think there's some football to watch here. And I think Derek Carr, if he passes concussion protocol, he did some beautiful work with Chris Olave on Sunday. Like he's got weapons. So I do remember when Michael Thomas was good.
He does. Why do they play so bad?
Because I think it's just the growing pains. I think. And trust me, if they're gonna figure it out the rest of this year, Derek Carr is not that bad. He's not, and he's on a better team.
He's not. But here's my thing is that like they're in sap calorie hell next year. I think they're 50 over the million. Half this team's gonna be cut. That like this thing's like they put all their chips in for this year. Unfortunately,
fire sale.
And so if this is your all chips in year and 5 half the season they're 5-5.
That time.
I don't know. I just have it just seems like they have way too much talent on that team to be that mediocre.
Yeah.
So they haven't really shown me anything.
But they're the one brightest thing in there. Like if that division was a bunch of closet full of skeletons and old coats and cobwebs and shit, that would be like the one shining beacon that's like nothing. It's all trash. But if you were to ask me the best out of the trash, or the lesser of, or the evil of 2 lessers, 4 lessers, it would probably be them. That's because they have the better piece.
Yeah.
Despite the money problems. But what do you think, Dan?
Again, I think it's too soon to say are they the worst division the NFL's ever seen. Right now they definitely look like the worst division the NFL currently has this year.
Yeah,
But
I'll go
there's
that
a
far.
lot
Yeah.
of teams playing bad football because you look at, your division there with the Dolphins. Buffalo right now struggling a little bit. Your Dolphins, there's been question marks around their wins. Not saying that they're worse than this NFC South, but the Jets have been playing bad football, and the Patriots are playing some of the worst football we've seen
Ever.
of anybody.
But if you're a
Um,
historian, it feels good because things are like kind of jumbled up. Like you don't know, people are
Yeah,
losing.
but yeah, like the Dolphins are a team that's really good that just can't be good teams.
Right.
Like
Everybody got
where
something.
I'm talking about like a Saints team that struggles with the Bears. Like it's an odd kind of mixture of um some teams
They're
have
just
talent
four
that aren't playing well, and then there's some
four
teams that are
okay
just
teams. They're all in the
low
same
talent.
division. The Panthers are probably a bad team right now. They look pretty bad. But the Saints, the Buccaneers, and the Falcons, like you said, they're just three teams with quarterbacks that we're not thrilled about. They're kind of off casts from other teams, and it's just like we don't
Yeah.
believe they're threatening. But one of them
Do
is
you
going to
think
make the
any of them will
playoffs.
win a
And
playoff game?
well, that's the thing. One of them's going to host a playoff game, and anything can
They
happen
will.
at that point. And it could be
Yeah.
at the expense of my Cowboys. It could be at the expense of your Vikings right now if we were to look at, kind of how the playoffs would
Could be.
play out, right?
I
Right
would
now
love
it
that
would
though,
be
man. Like, hey
Wouldn't
man,
that
be
be
Seattle
Cowboys go over there and boat race the Buccaneers like they did last year.
how is this for
Yeah.
revenge, right? It would be the Saints hosting the Seahawks in the first round. So if you remember all those years ago, it was a better
Yes, that
Saints
would be
team
so
traveling
good.
to a weaker Seahawks
That's
team
true.
because they won the
That's true.
division, and we had the
That's true.
Beastquake. So all these
Oh
years
man,
later,
get
there
him
could be
Yeah, I like that.
redemption. The Saints could a sub 500 Saints
No,
team
man,
could
Dennis
be a
Allen be
powerhouse
coaching. They ain't gonna win shit.
Seahawks team. But are they the worst all time? I don't know, but it's very possible one of them. They if they go back to back years of sending a team to the playoffs under 500, then you could definitely make the
Arthur
argument
Smith
that
doesn't
for
like
the
cotton
last 2
picks.
years they could be, proving to be one of the worst divisions the NFL has seen over the course of time. But
consistently bad,
Yeah.
not just like 1 or 2 years, like consistently. Like if not for Matt Ryan, they just don't have anything. I mean,
No, before they had Cam Newton,
Drew
they've had
Brees, Cam
keep in mind this
Drew Brees.
division,
Yeah, like they
Tom
had
Brady won them a Super Bowl
division
3
used to
years
play.
ago. So
I can't hear
this
both.
division's at least won
Yeah.
a Super Bowl recently.
That's true. I mean, but historically, before this little renaissance that came about,
Oh,
like
Atlanta with Matt Ryan for a long time was very good. The Saints with Drew
Then
Brees
Atlanta
for a
with
long
Michael
time
Vick, right?
was
And,
very
yeah.
good.
Vic,
Carolina was a
the Saints-
15-1 team that went to a Super Bowl and lost to Peyton Manning and the Broncos.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I remember those old what was it, the Saints teams when they had Aaron Brooks, remember? And they beat on this I think they beat the St. Louis one time in the playoffs. Remember?
the Jake
They've
Delhomme.
always been kind of
the Jake Delhomme Panthers
But it
lost
just,
to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Oh yeah. You know.
So now we're
Let's
just
see. Well, right. Maybe, now that I looked at it, it's not as bad. It was just ugly. So I lose a lot of money betting on those guys. Falcons lost me money. Bucks didn't
We
cover
get to
the over.
the real root cause for this
Perfect.
hatred towards
There's a
the
lot of
NFC
hatred
South.
for that division.
Perfect segue
Yeah.
into.
The final word.
Chupa Hubbard didn't do nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, my
Oh, they're going into bittersweet. You're right. The final word. We have more.
All right. So we've heard from Dave already.
Yeah.
His final word was scorch. So we just scorched the NFC South. So thank you for that, Brandon. But we will get our final words of Week 10. So we have Dave's word of scorch. Now, I will preface this by saying this was my word well before the 6 game-winning field goals happened, because there were events from last week that I did keep in mind leading up to this. But my Week 10 final word is kicking. And that is because, obviously, 6 game-winning field goals in NFL record. That does help. But before that, I was up early, not as early as you guys would have to be out there on the West Coast. I watched New England kicker Chad Ryland miss a 35-yard field goal in the third quarter when they were trailing 7-3 to the Colts. They ended up losing 10-6. If he hits that field goal, all this late push to try and get a touchdown down by 4, could have been another field goal. They would have won that game. So Chad Ryland missed a field goal early. Cleveland Hopkins actually missed a PAT in the fourth quarter, so they were down by 1 to Baltimore, a game they should have had tied at the time. So that was an issue, but they did come back and they kicked the game winner. In Green Bay, Anders Carlson had a PAT blocked in the second quarter, so they were down 4 to Pittsburgh. So late in the game, instead of going for a game-tying field goal, they had to throw the ball and ended up throwing an interception, so that cost them. Joey Sly missed a PAT for the Commanders in the game that they ended up losing to Seattle by 3. And even the Denver kicker, Will Lutz, missed a PAT in the second quarter. They missed a PAT in the fourth quarter when Riley Dickinson bobbled the snap, so they were down by 6, I believe, at the time.
They're like, oh, you missed it, buddy. Just do it again. Get closer, kick it again.
But then
Our fault.
Then Buffalo gets a TD in the extra point, so then they were up by 1 as opposed to being tied because of both those misconverts. But then also, yes, at the end of the game, 12 men on the field on defense for Buffalo. So he misses a field goal. He ends up hitting the field goal. So to me, I just felt like kicking ruled the weekend.
Yeah.
Not even and the 6 game-winning kicks were just a cherry on top because, like I said, I was already looking at the kicking back when there were misconverts early in games, and really it all stemmed from when the Patriots kicker missed what we should be considered a chip shot and cost them that game somewhat. Obviously, lots of other factors factored in, but to me, my Week 10 word was kicking. So that's where I ended up.
Yeah, anytime you've ended up with kickers ending games like this, it's always tough. The soccer play comes out and ends the game for us.
It ends it way too often, man. But what's your final word there, Brandon?
Ooh, okay. I was trying to kind of gauge it, kind of what I wanted to say for it. So I'm gonna underachieving. There's just teams that are just not where they should be. There's going to be a lot of teams that with too much talent are not getting the records. Buffalo's one of them. You expect more, expect better to have that kind of record right now in the season. These are Super Bowl bust teams. Cincinnati as one of them should be. You want them to be higher. This is Super Bowl caliber roster, and so that kind of makes you not feel like they're not going the right way. The Ravens kind of lost under that, was a little underachieving on that nature. But teams that probably you would think, okay, hey, you're going to take a step up, you're going to start moving it. And the Chargers, you know what I'm saying? They have like one of the highest paid defenses. Can't stop a fucking like a wet paper bag. It's just it's ridiculous how you get Mac and Bosa and Darwin James and Asante Samuels and let the team just go up and down on the field on you. So that's underwhelming. And you're right. And then teams like Houston or there's some other ones and stuff like that. They're Cleveland. They're actually outperforming sometimes the talent on their level, and so it's one of those things. Oh no, Pittsburgh, kind of like way overachieving.
Who the hell?
But just
no identity whatsoever.
Yeah, and so you just got a lot of teams are like, hey, we thought, and I can put the Saints in there as well too. It's like these teams have built rosters to win the Super Bowl, and I would say maybe out of all those teams, a lot of them are not going to make the playoffs, and maybe all of them don't. So it's just like there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made. These contracts are going to start hitting, whether it's the Allen and eventually the Burrow, and then and the Herbert stuff and so all this talent that you have on them, you're going to lose it to pay the quarterback, and you showed you couldn't even win it when you had the talent, and so that's even scarier going forward on that nature. And so, very weird how year where teams that we thought that were penciled in for the playoffs are 500 now and really have a great chance of not making it. So that's why I felt watching this.
AC, your final word to wrap up Week 10.
My final word is focus. Because everyone in the league now, I think, when it gets into the double digit, Week 10, 11, 12, into December, everybody tightens up. Everybody's going to play their best football now, barring injury, of course. We're really going to see who people are because, the come down is going to get to the get down, or however the kids say it. But it really does matter when the lights are brightest, and that's usually when you separate the people who are just kind of playing okay and they're regular season warriors to who is actually prepared to take it the distance. We could get surprised, but historically, you see teams there that make sense, right? Your Pittsburghs, not this year. Your Cincinnati could be rough start. Josh Allen, like Brandon said, Buffalo, not what we thought it was. But even Miami's not who we thought they were. So now focus is going to come into play everything's going to come to a head and just pinpoint like a train all the way into January, and we're going to figure out who is going to be able to take it the distance. It's gonna probably be our old favorite, your Kansas City. Even with the rough start, but who contends with them is now really interesting because you have some young kids and you have some divisions who are jumbled up because they keep, like, for example, AFC East, they keep losing to each other, so it's just a bad division outcome unless somebody really rises to the top. So focus. It's no longer a funeral. Remember last time I wore the about the losses. However, you need to learn and grow coming off a bye.
All right, so there you have it. Whether you want to scorch underachieving teams or focus on the kicking, that is Week 10 summed up in 4 final words. So now we move on to Better Sweet, a segment that I know AC has been chomping at the bit to get to. He wants to tell us all about his great success, and we will talk about how we missed AC last week, because in Week 10, AC was not with us. Obviously, with Week 9, we were all on a bye week during Halloween.
Yep.
So AC's last picks in Week 8, just to recap for him, he was 2 for 2. He had the lock of Seattle -3 on Tuesday. They were a 4.5-point favorite by Sunday. They did win by 4. So his pick at -3 was actually a great pick because he had them at a great spread. And then he had Brandon's Vikings, who were a 1-point underdog against Green Bay. They went into Green Bay and won that game 24-10. That was the game that they did lose Kirk Cousins in the end, but he did go 2 for 2 there. Week 10, so our picks without AC, we went a collective 1 for 6. So you'll be happy to know we were terrible. Both Brandon and Dave had Atlanta as their locks over Arizona. Arizona won that game on that game-winning field goal. And if you remember, I did say fade both of them, take the Cardinals and Kyler Murray. Yep. So even though that was not my official pick,
I didn't know correct. That, he was good looking good.
He still runs like a child that stole something. Kyler Murray has the best run in all of football. Brandon's underdog was the Tennessee Titans at Tampa Bay, so probably part of the reason why he hates the NFC South, because Tampa Bay beat up on Tennessee pretty good, 20-6.
Retelling.
And then Dave's underdog, the NFL HQ curse, is still alive and well. He took his own Jacksonville Jaguars at +3 over the San Francisco 49ers. I think what he meant to say was take the Jacksonville Jaguars to score only 3 against San Francisco 49ers, because they did lose 34-3. I wasn't much better with my lock. I had Seattle -6.5. So, of course, when Seattle scored a touchdown late, I was like, okay, just hang on and win by 7. Every better's, hopes and prayers. Right. Unfortunately, Washington tied it up. Seattle did get a game-winning field goal, won by 3, but did not cover the 6.5-point spread. So that is a loser on my ticket. I did have the Las Vegas Raiders, who were a 1 or 1.5-point dog at home to the New York Jets.
Let's go Raiders!
I didn't understand the Jets being a favorite. That they just look inept on offense the last 2 weeks, and of course that was a tough watch. But the way Raiders did win 16-12. Yep. So no offensive touchdowns for the Jets in their last, I believe, 2 games, or at least in their last long time on the field. So they did get me that one. So my underdog was correct, a 16-12 win for the Raiders in that one. So for Week 11, we already heard from Dave.
We got to start out with Casio, yeah.
Well, this week Dave's lock is Houston at Arizona, so he takes Houston -4. And then he did take the Philadelphia Eagles at, I don't know if you have them there. Are they a +2.5 or +3 underdog on the road in Kansas City? What do you see them at?
I got a 2.5. I don't got a 3 anywhere.
I got 2.5 across the board. Bet365, FanDuel, MGM, Caesars.
So, like I said, probably about 5 o'clock this afternoon, my local time. So that would be 2 o'clock your local time. They were a 3-point underdog, but it looks like it's been down to 2.5.
Yeah,
already.
But you know what? That got bet down real quick. Hey man, if I get 3,
that's what I'm saying. Like I was looking at a 3. I was like, if I could get 3.5, I thought 3.5.
I would be surprised. I'm not lying to you if this thing goes down even more. Like I think it ends up around 1.5. Like it'll be, we've seen a lot of those lately where it's like 1.5. Kind of go down there.
Victims.
And then play with the money lines too. It'll be like -105 or something. The Chiefs will get a little love because it's at home, but that's about it. So basically, it's almost like a pickup because the 2.5 is just what they give you for home field.
Not even.
Brandon wants to hear from you, AC. So why don't we just?
No, I'm not saying anything until AC tells me wins and losses now, because that's how hot he is.
Well, first, I'd like to share a couple of things. So I had a pretty good couple of days.
Not pretty good.
Like to share a little bit of what I got. Let's see. It was +3 when I looked, but Eagles will win outright. All right. That's true, Dave. All right. So if he says Eagles, definitely go the other way. he's you're banned from ever.
I got to see if Taylor Swift's going. If Taylor Swift shows up, maybe I go Chiefs. No Taylor Swift, then maybe.
So what we got is a couple of tickets, and I took a couple pictures here. I want to show you guys what was going on. So this is a ticket. Let me get rid of this so you guys could see a little bit better.
Over 71, and it still hit.
Let's take that away. Let's take the ticker away. Sorry, guys. There we go. There we go. All right. So I wanted you to see the win. This is the afternoon. So I took Atlanta Falcons and Arizona Cardinals for the over 46.5. Over 71 points live for it was just a little basketball slide in there. So we got. I'm sorry. Oh no, the Detroit Lions.
No, it's a Lions game. Yeah.
All right.
Detroit points is such low scoring in the NFL. You thought it was a basketball game.
Yep. It was. I was like 71. But now
I can't believe you took that. I was scared as hell.
I know. And I think I actually bought a couple of this is one I didn't buy. Then I took so that's gonna be the Commanders in Seattle.
Commanders.
Yep. Commanders, right.
And then you had Cowboys over.
Cowboys and over. So thank you so much for your teams doing what they had to do.
You just went over. A lot of points.
Went over.
I
So
think it was opposite of the week before, where there was a lot of unders, right? And so this week points were on the board.
Well, the matchups dictated that, and that's kind of what I saw. Here's another one. Let's see if I didn't do the same thing. Oh, it's the same one. And then here it's a good one. So combined a couple of hockey with NBA. Colorado Avalanche came through. Mikko Rantanen hit a goal that I definitely needed, along with Cleveland Cavaliers taking care of. I'm sorry, the Sacramento Kings taking care of Cleveland. Sabonis came through with 7, and then my man here,
Yep, on the center for the Kings. I love you.
Yep. So $25 got me 252, and then let's see. This might be. Oh, this is a good one. So this has to do with our show. So I took a crazy prop bet and I said, let's ride $5. I want Cincinnati, I want San Francisco and Baltimore all to score on their first drive. So that was the only stipulation. They had to all score on their first offensive drive. They all did that, culminating with that end around that sweep that the Baltimore did to get it in there.
Yeah.
It was amazing. My heart was stopping. I was racing, and boom, 217. Just that easy.
All right,
I'm not bragging, but I had a pretty.
All right, look, it ain't bragging if you're right about it.
So I got about 400 on Sunday. 400.
No pressure. Just there's going to be a lot of people putting their kids' college funds on these picks you have here, and so
a lot of people.
You know.
Okay, so let's look at this week. So hopefully I can stay.
I'm following you down the rabbit hole.
Let's stay red hot, guys. So
you going with your lock of the week first?
Yeah. My lock of the week, yeah.
And I like how you kind of are picking this live. You're not even putting, unless you already.
They just look around, see what he likes.
I look at line all day. I've been looking at next week's line since Sunday night. So this is just a recap, but I will tell you because things change, and I want to make sure with all of these. That's why I show Vegas Insider.
And Cosio, you put your bets in early. Like I'm a guy Sunday morning kind of guy. I'm a guy like I woke up, wiped the cold out my eye. Let me put a bet together, right?
It goes through. I do that. I do that as well. I do that at 6:30 in the morning on Sunday. I also do them on Friday night.
I'm always scared to put a bet in early and then find out some injury shit. That's always my thing. Like Saturday, I'll wake up in the morning and I go, "Well, I didn't know it was raining. Why did I take the over?"
It happened on the Oats. It happened on the Oats.
Yeah.
Where the spread was really nice with their star player, and he's out. Now you got to back up.
Yeah, no, why didn't I just wait a day, Brandon, to get this info?
Just wait a day. So my lock of the week will be definitely. This is going to be hard, but the Bills. The Bills are going to bounce back at home, if I'm not mistaken, in Orchard Park. And they're going to be the Jets by 7.
Hey, I like it.
They're going to be the Jets by 7. They won't be.
Nobody circles the wagons.
Well, they're embarrassed. They feel bad. They're not feeling like they belong in the echelons of.
Now, having the Jets beat them the last 2 or 3 times, though, that does kind of give me the
defense. Yeah.
So I'm not even saying my thing is that I think the Bills win, but did they cover the 7?
The Jets did beat Buffalo and Aaron Rodgers' only start of the season, 22-16. Aaron Rodgers did not throw a completion in that one.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is back yet, and it's still Zach Wilson. So I can tell you that the Bills will cover the 7 at home.
Listen, these Jets are a polarizing team. They beat a pesky Broncos team. They beat the Eagles, and then they beat the Giants, scoring 13 points. And then they lost the Chargers. They scored 6, and then they scored 12. So they have not scored an offensive touchdown in the last 2 games.
Again, they don't beat anybody. They wait for you to trip over your own feet, and then
Right.
okay, we might as well win. Yeah,
Yep, exactly right.
The last offensive touchdown came in the first quarter 3 weeks ago when they a Breece Hall touchdown pass, from Zach Wilson. But, all right, so you
do you like that Robert Saleh? They go, hey, you feel good about your quarterback? Like he's like, why didn't you try Trevor Siemian? He goes, hey, that's a good idea. like we're all on the same page. Oh my God, are you being told to play this guy? Why hasn't Trevor Siemian got any snaps?
In the ultimate humiliation, for my underdog of the week, the Packers will at least cover or money or win at home against the Chargers. So it's getting cold.
Right, that's not bad.
Chargers are coming into Lambeau. I think the Packers feel equally humiliated. They're not, they really want to win a game, and it's about time. They're due. So I think the Packers cover the 3 at home against the Chargers.
Jordan loves them so bad.
Yep. So that's my underdog of the week. Packers are going to win.
Right.
They're due, and everything else looks ugly.
Oh God!
I don't like
I
this
hate
matchup.
do your win.
I'm excited to hear your guys's because I don't like these matchups at all. I was going to go Titans.
All right, go your
Yes,
turn, Dan. I'm still
in Duval.
picking.
All right,
through
so I will say that the under is 13-1 in the last 14 primetime games this year in the NFL, including last week where the Bears and Carolina went under the 38, Vegas and the Jets went under 35.5, and then Denver, Buffalo approached 47.5, but they went under. I say all that to say this: lock it in. Cincinnati at Baltimore on Thursday, over 46 points. So,
oh wow,
like
these
good,
two
good
teams,
Is that 36?
played in week 2. No, 46.
Oh,
these 2 teams played in week 2. It was a 27-24 game. That was with a less than healthy Joe Burrow. He's a little healthier now. I understand there's still injuries to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins on the Baltimore side, or on the Cincinnati side. I know it's always tough on that quick turnaround playing on Thursday. Usually teams struggle, but I think this could be a sort of, not necessarily an offensive explosion, but I think exploding enough to buck the trend of the 13-1 unders in the last 14. Let's say it'll go to 13-2 after Thursday night. So lock in Cincinnati at Baltimore over 46 points.
What would the score look like? I'm sorry to cut you off. What would the score look like? So 46 would be like 23-23. That's not,
so like 24-23, 27-23, somewhere in there. Like, again, when you think about what 46 points is, it doesn't seem like it's that hard to get there yet. Like I said, teams were not hitting a 35.5 point under was the Vegas Jets game, right? So those teams couldn't even get to 35.
The last like 5 Thursdays don't hit over, right? So I got to think it was the Bills, Bucks didn't hit over, the Steelers and Titans didn't hit over. Like, I got to check the Thursday night games.
Thursdays are
always an under.
And now we're getting into bad weather on Thursday, so that's because
if
you're questionable on a Thursday, you're out. Like, they don't get the extra days to make it on there. Like,
they've already played each other once, divisional opponent. This AFC North, every game matters because they're going to cannibalize each other trying to get to the playoffs. But I just think with Joe Burrow and Lamar, we're going to see some offensive explosions, some fireworks, some big shot plays. Look for maybe Odell Beckham to find the end zone. Probably someone like a Mark Andrews to find the end zone. Lamar probably rushing prop. I would take Lamar anytime touchdown score. Why not? But lock him in at over 46 points. I was going to agree with Dave. I thought Philadelphia was a good underdog to take against the Chiefs. But if you can get the Seattle Seahawks as a 1-point dog on the road at Los Angeles, I'll go ahead and I'll switch my pick. Seattle +1 on the road at the Rams. Matthew Stafford's returning. I know the Seattle team's kind of up or down, but I still think that they're fighting to stay in that playoff hunt. So
are you no longer taking? So is that your? I'm sorry. Was that your second pick, or you?
That's my underdog pick. Yeah, if you can get Seattle +1, I've had success at these, very pick-em-ish +1 type games.
Yeah.
So Seattle at -6.5 didn't help me out, but I'll take Seattle again at +1 against the Rams and a banged up Matthew Stafford, so that it's different from Dave's pick. Although I do hope that I guess the Chiefs end up beating the Eagles as a Cowboys fan.
I like that word though, pick-em-ish.
Pick-em-ish.
Nice word. I like it.
Man, I was Can't
We
go
got
wrong with that one.
we got a couple of good ones up for next week, and I promise to share win, lose, or draw what I do this week.
Yeah.
That's some interesting ones. Brandon, what you
Yeah,
like?
so I'm in my lock. The underdog thing is probably the hardest one for me right now, just because I'm just looking around. So I'm gonna go with this is a team knows how to beat up on tomato cans, gets a tomato can.
Tomato cans.
And my God, Bryce Young is oh man, I don't even know what this kid's gonna see. There's no way they're not 2 touchdowns up on this team at all times.
Yeah.
They put foot to neck, right? So 10.5, I'm gonna give that up with the boys. Cowboys gonna slaughter them, and so I was gonna go with the Dolphins, but I get a better spread with the Cowboys, and the Raiders have least emotion, so they can backdoor cover with a little bit of fight.
Yep.
Panthers are garbage, and they might fire Frank right after 1 year. I think they thought they would be further along. I didn't think they were a playoff team, but I think they thought to themselves they were going to be a 2, 3, 4, somewhere on there now.
Well, you talked about how bad this division was. You thought they could compete for the division. At least I thought they might have.
No, I know David Tepper. I think he has high expectations, not me, and stuff like that. And so, the defense is horrible. Gosh, they had Chicago going up and down on them. What do you think Dak's going to do? And Bryce Young doesn't throw a pass over 10 to 15 yards because it's too small, can't step into the throw, and the defense is there. So they have, it's usually a lot of just dump and runs. And so the linebackers, they'll get to them. But so I think that I'm just scared. Sometimes Cowboys play around, but sometimes early in the game. But most likely this would be.
And they're on the road where they're not as dominant at home. But
Carolina doesn't have a home field.
For the sake of the NFL HQ curse, I hope that you seem to be immune with it. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, right. And so no, it's book it, right? And so that would be something my +2. And so I really couldn't find a thing. So, I said, if I'm going to pick someone else's team to go cursing, then I'm going to pick my team. Right. So I'm going to take the Vikings +2. Right. And so,
he feels them.
Sunday Night Football. It's a little iffy because it's always scary when you don't play a team often and then you have to travel there. So I think maybe we've never been to Denver in my life. It's like I think we played maybe 3 times in there, right? Minnesota that rarely goes to Denver.
It's like once every 8 years usually. It will change now because of the 17th game. Typically in a 16-game schedule, it was 1 every 8 years. You would go to an outer conference stadium.
And usually when you do that, when you make that trip, it's almost like it's hard. Like you're like, especially if it's something anomaly like a Mile High or something like
it's hard to play there.
Something like that where it's hard to play, and then you're like,
cold.
Okay, you see the guys with the oxygen.
It's cold in Minnesota, maybe not in the dome, but it's still cold in Minnesota.
The dome,
but the one thing I'm saying is that I like the one thing that can travel is defense, right? And a good run game. Now we don't really have much run game other than Josh Dobbs, but I think like he can make some moves. We don't throw risky passes like Josh Allen. They still almost pulled that game out. As long as we don't turn over 4 times, the rest they didn't really play all that great into even the one they got was like they just kept getting good field advantage and they're settling for field goals. But so you can stop them, you can hurt them, and you can put foot to neck. So I think we pull out our another win on them, and then we go boys and Vikings.
Are you saying that you're gonna? So the Vikings are the underdog. So that's your underdog pick.
That's my underdog. Yeah, I'm just like I really couldn't find an underdog I like, and so I'm gonna go with them. And so I go with both of our teams in there. So we're.
Are you taking the +2, +2.5, or money line?
I was gonna take the 2. I don't really think we're gonna win, but I'm saying but that's I know we're trying to win 6 in a row here.
Yeah.
We're gonna go purple rain.
Purple rain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so
you got some chorus over here. So that's you got our
look at this, man.
For locks.
We're not like the Jets. We don't get a lot of Sunday night games for some reason. So this is gonna be big, man. It always seems like the Cowboys and the Jets seem to be like on every Sunday night football. I just saw them on Monday night. Now they get a Sunday night for a team that only won 7 games last year.
Get out of here.
So I'm going to be very excited, because usually by Sunday night, I'm usually passed out tired, right? So this one I'm going to stay up for.
I've seen it. I've seen that live. Well,
yeah, no, I'll
just for anyone that's not, used to listening in, you are in Las Vegas. So for you, Sunday night is not 8:15. It is 5:15. So it is Sunday mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
But when you've been drinking since 9, you know, that's always an issue, right? You got to remember, I'm doing morning alcoholism out here, right? You guys get to start your drinking at 1 like a normal person. And so I gotta eat breakfast and take shots.
We get back-to-back primetime games. Not only do you get the Broncos on Sunday night, you get the Chicago Bears at home on Monday night, the week after.
Oh, whoa.
The pleasure.
Man, they always do. They always give us that garbage Monday night game for Chicago for some
never
reason.
Watch it.
Always, man. Like we're bad or they're good. It's always like, hey, put them. Them or the Packers. Hey, put them on there. You know, it's like, okay.
I got a nail biter here, guys.
It'll be Thanksgiving weekend for you Americans over there. So, all the good games are on Thursday. Friday, they have the Dolphins playing on the first ever Black Friday game. Then you have all the Sunday games. So they really just threw the Vikings Bears as the Monday night afterthought, really. It's not
right.
It's a different type of Monday nighter when it's a Thanksgiving weekend.
Last year we did get to see the Vikings play on Sunday Night Football versus Patriots. I thought it was kind of cool. So, this is when we start getting our gear together and we'll rip some wins off. So let's do it, guys. Hey, man. Yeah, it was a hell of a show.
We had a lot of information. Yeah, thanks.
We lost Dave, but you know what? He gave us what we wanted to hear from him.
Well, just like his Jaguars, he showed up, and then we didn't really get a good result from him.
So. Yeah, just like a lot of Jaguars, they show up and then limp away and lick their,
Calvin Ridley still plays for them, right? Like, what happened to that? The first 2 weeks, looked like he was damn near Julio Jones, and now it's like, where he doesn't know how to throw to him. He's
2023 Julio Jones playing for the Eagles.
Yeah, it's just it's weird how just wide receivers disappear, and
Etienne is coming into his own. I think the identity they want to give it to Etienne a lot more. He's more like a safety valve. I see him. He's not.
They find Christian Kirk. They find Evan Ingram. They find other guys in there. Marvin Jones Jr. still catching balls, right? So it's.
I think Marvin Jones Jr. is on Detroit.
No, the Marvin. So they got some other Jones in there too. They got 2 Joneses. Jacksonville.
We got Zay Jones. Zay Jones.
Yeah, Zay Jones and another Jones, though, right?
Arrested.
No, they have the running back, Dearness Johnson.
Okay.
I thought they had other Jones. I could be wrong. But they get rid of them. So,
all right, they're playing you off like you're at the Oscars, Brandon.
Another week. Oh, can you guys hear that? My bad. Well, at the end of the show.
No, it was good. I liked it. Hey guys, let's say next week, man. Let's do it. We're gonna be on the Clapper thing on Sunday, so I think.
So Sunday we're gonna try to do some live games and just talk shit. People come into the room. It's a little bit more relaxed. There's no structure to it. People ask questions and we can tell them whatever we want, but we can even invite people up to the thing so they can talk to us, ask questions about football.
A lot of cussing, a lot of anger.
Oh, yeah. And it's anything goes. Anything goes.
Fuck yeah! My brother the other day was losing his mind every time there was a play with Arizona. So it's a hoot and hollering over here, guys. So I can't wait to show everybody on Clapper. It's like in the man cave.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. Well, another week in the book.
I was going to say, that wraps up Week 10 into Week 11 of NFL HQ, where we hope to raise a little bit of your NFL IQ. This week, remember, pay attention to the primetime games because we actually have some good ones. Bengals, Ravens Thursday night. You got the Vikings, Broncos Sunday night. And, of course, Eagles, Chiefs, Super Bowl rematch, 8-1 Eagles, 7-2 Chiefs. So 2 conference leaders on Monday
Best night games.
Football.
All 3. I think every week, like Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. I think this is probably the best week of night games.
Best night games from a bettor's perspective, bad matchups. I'm just saying.
Something I'd rather want to watch it.
I don't love this.
They're never this good. Usually they'll throw it, it's the same teams.
Yeah. But thank God it's not a bunch of scrubs and we have the teams that we like. And everybody, good luck on Sunday. I hope every single one of your teams win. I hope no one loses and the red zone's free forever.
Yep. Hopefully we get every single team win somehow on Sunday. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye. The music. Oh, show the move.
Yeah.